All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a great day, and we are spicy in this bitch today. So, in just a second, MAGA is in an all-out panic over Abdul El-Sayed. I cannot wait to show you the clips that are piling one on top of the next. They're crashing out, bro. They are crashing out. So we'll talk about that. There's already 1,000 racist attacks against Abdul from Mike Rogers and from Fox News hosts and shit like that. We also have, a little later on, Fetterman was left a babbling mess as Jon Stewart filleted him like a fish on his podcast. That was fun to watch. Also, Tucker Carlson is apparently terrified because he says he thinks Trump is going to nuke Iran. That's right. Former MAGA superstar is going, holy shit, Trump is going to drop a nuke. We'll dive into that. And then also, nobody's talking about this, but everybody should be talking about this. There's a massive pedophilia scandal that is currently rocking ICE. I mean, this one is, I am flabbergasted. This isn't making news in more places. You guys got to spread this far and wide because this is like crazy to me. It's just insane. And like, you can't, it's sort of like the game you play with Israel where it's like, come up with a terrifying situation and like the most cruel, sadistic thing you can imagine. Israel did it, guaranteed. We're getting to that point with ICE now, too. Whatever sort of fictional scenario that's cruel and sadistic you can come up with, ICE has been doing it systematically. Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. You guys know the drill, man. Everybody subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, y'all, that goes a very long way because this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser or done an ad read. I'm very proud of that fact. You guys have made it possible. I give in $1 a month or $5 a month or whatever it may be. Thank you all so much. Thank you to everybody who tips on YouTube. That goes a long way as well. You, of course, can sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. Nathan J. Robinson of Current Affairs will be on this week, and we will be talking about everything that happened in these elections. I'm really looking forward to it. He's a brilliant guy. Everybody should go subscribe to the Current Affairs YouTube channel and get the magazine if you don't, because that magazine is fantastic as well. And also, everybody go subscribe to Corin's World and come hang out with us on Monday nights. But I got a lot to get to, so let's get after it. Okay, let me start with this. So as you all know, Abdul El-Sayed beat Haley Stevens the other day, but the race was way closer than what the polls were indicating. In fact, it was like way off compared to the polls. The polls had him winning by double digits. I mean, there were polls the week leading up to the election that had him up like 15 in one poll, 18 in another poll. You had to go all the way back to early June to find a poll where Abdul wins by a small amount, and that was a poll where he was up 3. And he only ended up winning by 1, okay? So how could there be such a massive polling miss? Well, actually, the answer may be more simple than you think. And shout out to this guy, Patrick Ruffini, who points this out, even though his name makes him sound like a dog magician. Listen to what he says here. By the way, I can't take credit for that joke. Somebody else called him a dog magician first. I just want to say for the record, I didn't come up with that. His name does sound like a dog magician, but I didn't make that up. Anyway, listen to what he says about the race. He says, controlling for 2024, the results kind of suggest that Stevens was buoyed by crossover Republican votes, especially in Metro Detroit, where primary composition swung 30 points towards D's. Okay, do you understand what he's saying? The system that they have in Michigan, it's an open primary system. So you don't have to be a Democrat to vote in the Democratic primary, right? You don't only get in also if you're an independent. It's not like, oh, it's Democrats and independents. You can also vote in the Democratic primary if you're a Republican. You only get one vote, but you can choose to use that vote to vote in the Democratic primary. This would perfectly explain what ended up happening. Also, the average age of the voter in this election was way higher than what most people predicted. What could also help explain that? This right here. There were crossover Republican voters who voted in the Democratic primary, and they ended up boosting Haley Stevens and getting her closer than where she would have been normally. If this race did not have these crossover Republicans, and I think more data will come out with time and we'll know this more definitively, but he probably would have won by at least like 8 points without these crossover Republican voters who supported her. So that makes sense to me. That actually all adds up in my mind, because it's not that Abdul underperformed. In fact, the number of raw votes he got was phenomenal. It was way above and beyond what Bernie got in his presidential runs there. So the turnout was fucking colossal. It was through the roof. It's just that Haley Stevens also got a lot of votes. Well, what explains that? This right here. That it's an open primary system and some Republicans went in and voted for Haley Stevens. So that would make sense. That would all add up. And I do think that the candidate who's going to excite the Democratic base the most and win the most independent crossover voters is going to be Abdul. But the only issue is, I do believe he's going to fire up the Republican base to vote against him because, of course, they are deeply, deeply bigoted and Islamophobic and racist, and they're all going to rush to the polls. So the Democrats need to turn out big time. Independents need to turn out big time. And this race is not over. Yes, it's a very blue year, no doubt about it, but we got to run through the tape and we got to work hard because they're going to throw every fucking thing they have at us. Abdul was able to survive, $70 million in attack ads? Well, guess what? They're probably going to up the stakes on that bitch now in the general. So there's a lot more coming our way and we need to be ready to fight back. Okay, but now let me continue to walk you through this here. So here's some of the bigoted attacks that they're waging against Abdul. Mike Rogers immediately came out after Abdul won. What did he say? Quote, "I spent years hunting terrorists and bringing Osama bin Laden to justice. Never in a million years did I think that I would be running against someone who believes America deserved 9/11. Hey, asshole, you're supposed to be a little subtle with your Islamophobia and your bigotry. You're not supposed to be this brazen with it, right? So why is he saying this? Well, number one, because he's Muslim. That's why he's saying this. Number two, he campaigned with Hassan Piker. Hassan was talking about the CIA concept of blowback. Blowback is the idea that we meddled in the Middle East and that leads to attacks against us that we didn't foresee coming. That's what he meant by America deserved 9/11. It wasn't like he was cheering as the fucking planes were hitting the towers. Why do we all, insist on being totally context dense and stupid when it comes to these conversations? Well, anyway, doesn't matter. They're going to use that to smear Abdul. Well, as I pointed out, guys, Trump pardoned a guy who laundered money for Al-Qaeda because that guy bought his crypto coin. So I don't want to hear shit from Mike Rogers or any other Republican pretending like Abdul is a terrorist or, adjacent to terrorists or whatever the fuck argument they're trying to make. It's bullshit. Donald Trump bragged about putting a former Al-Qaeda leader as the new president of Syria. He bragged about that. If you want to talk about terrorism, Mike Rogers is a terrorist because he supports the bombing of little girls and their elementary schools in Iran. So I don't want to fucking hear it from them. But to show you again just how deeply bigoted the attacks are going to be, take a look at this ad, which was the first ad that they immediately dropped. Watch.
Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Sayed, the most radical Senate candidate in America.
I'm pretty damn dangerous.
El Sayed.
I'm pretty damn dangerous, they put in there. Trying to scare old racist white people to voting against him, when the point he was making is, I'm pretty damn dangerous if you're a corporation, if you're a billionaire, if you're a warmonger. That's the point he's making.
Support for the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, a designated foreign terrorist group. He wants to hike taxes on Michigan waitresses, delivery drivers, and seniors on Social Security. He joined a sex offender and a murderer to demand the mass release of dangerous prisoners. And when his ally claimed America deserved 9/11,
America deserved 9/11, dude.
El Sayed refused to disavow it.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
Abdul El Sayed, too radical, too dangerous, wrong for Michigan.
This is absolutely all they have. Okay, so Abdul is asked about these sorts of attacks, and he comes out and he immediately says the following.
Russ, I really appreciate the question. You're right. That's the only play they got. They're going to point at me. They're going to point at my name. It's like, well, he's different. That's the best you got? You can't actually talk about what you want to do? My name is not raising your gas prices. My name is not taking us to war. My name is not the reason you can't afford your groceries. You know what it is? They're BS policies. So you can point to my name all he wants. But I'll also tell you this. I've been an Abdul in Michigan my whole life. This is like the best place in the world to be Abdul. You know why? Because Michiganders they're big-hearted. They're open-minded. They're earnest, and they're gritty. And Michiganders are sick and tired of BS politics coming in to divide us when there's so much more we can unite to actually guarantee if we're willing to come together around it. So if all Mike Rogers got is that his name is Abdul and my name is Mike, you're going to be surprised how many people are like, yeah, but that's the Abdul who wants to bring down the price of my groceries and gas and stop us sending money abroad and make sure that I got health care. So yeah, I like that Abdul over your Mike from Florida.
That's right.
Damn. It fucking absolutely positively nailed it. Okay. Well, now let's get to the across-the-board meltdown happening across conservative media and in the MAGA sphere. Let's start with this one. Here we have Ted Cruz, and he's going to take a shot at multiple leftist candidates.
Is that where the energy is? They want to cancel Thanksgiving?
They're crazy enough, yes. They want to cancel Thanksgiving. They want to cancel Christmas. Look.
They're taking a shot at Francesca Hong here, who tweeted something about canceling Thanksgiving. She's not actually going to get in office and immediately, sign an executive order. I'm hereby banning Thanksgiving celebration in Wisconsin. It would be for her. Are you kidding me? This is all they have. He's literally recycling war on Christmas bullshit, too. They will say and do anything not to talk about the price of gas, not to talk about the price of groceries, not to talk about the multiple illegal wars, not to talk about the Epstein pedophiles they're protecting, not to talk about the Doge, crime spree where they cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels. This is a sick joke.
These communists hate America. They hate...
Hey, these communists, hey, me, I'm Ted Cruz, me, they hate America.
Capitalism. El Sayed is also an Islamist, as is...
They're just so racist. This is so bigoted, bro. He's not an Islamist. An Islamist is somebody who wants to set up a political system with Islam as the cornerstone. It's like a Sharia law type system. Sharia means law, but it's like a Sharia system, right? He's a secularist. He believes in the Enlightenment. He believes in the Constitution, unlike you and Trump and Stephen Miller and all you fucking assholes who have destroyed due process, destroyed habeas corpus, made it so you don't need a warrant to seize people anymore. What a sick fucking joke, man. Holy shit.
So is Islamist, as is Mamdani. And
I think it's a majority of Republican politicians who can't pronounce Mamdani's name. None of them know how to even say Mamdani. Yet they have all these thoughts about how bad and terrible he is. How about you learn his motherfucking name first before we listen to anything you have to say about his policies?
The green-red convergence, where the communists and the Islamists, they want Sharia law, they hate Jews, they hate Christians, they hate capitalism, they hate America. All of this is coming together in a way that is really a toxic, toxic stew.
You have anything to say about the fact that you kicked 18 million people off Medicaid, you pudgy-ass bitch, Ted Cruz? You have anything to say about the fact that you supported kicking 4.5 million people off the SNAP program, the food stamp program, so children are literally starving because of you? You have anything to say about that? You have anything to say about the fact that you supported Trump as he carpet-bombed a little girl school in Iran and killed 170 precious little girls? You have anything to say about that, you bitch? Fuck you. God, I hate this guy. Oh, I hate them so much. This is going to be a brutal election season, and it's going to be filled with so much of their horse shit. I hope Americans can see through this. All right, we got more. Now, we go to Fox News, and they're deathly afraid of young voters.
What if the youths of America turn out in record numbers and they're getting sort of brainwashed by social media that's saying all this stuff is true? If that happens and you get some socialists winning races that you weren't expecting, the cancer is in the bloodstream. And look at Cuba, North Korea, Russia, China.
What if young voters turn America into North Korea, is what they're saying on Fox. How is this even allowed on TV, bro? Look, I believe in free speech more than the next guy. But the fact of the matter is, you want to talk about poisoning the bloodstream of the country? Fox News is slop propaganda poison, toxic shit being pumped into the body politic in the U.S. day in and day out, making boomers 17 IQ points dumber than they should be because of this and all the lead gasoline that they breathed in, the lead gasoline that got in the air that they breathed in when they were kids. What the fuck? The young people are going to turn America into North Korea. That's what's going to happen. They say this as Trump is protecting a cabal of pedophile billionaires. They say this as Elon Musk, the world's first trillionaire, is cutting pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels. They say this as gas is unaffordable, groceries are unaffordable, people are losing their health care left and right, people are miserable. There's a new war every other week started by the fat pedophile terrorist president. Oh my God, I can't deal with this, bro. Here's Laura Ingraham. Laura Ingraham thinks she's being slick in this clip. In this clip, she thinks she's doing like a, watch this. Everybody watch this. I'm going to pull this off now. Oh, all these crazy extremist Democrats are getting elected. So I'm calling on all the reasonable Democrats and the independents to come and work with us Republicans. Here we go.
So clear-eyed Democrats, independents, work with us. We'll form a coalition. We'll stop the madness. Then once they're ground into the dust, You can go back to being a party that once had a reasonable core. And that's the angle.
You want to talk about a reasonable core? The party that you're in right this second has an obese, dying, pedophile, terrorist, cultist leader president who all he cares about is putting his name on an airport and getting his face on Mount Rushmore and putting his face in passports and getting his signature on the currency and the Epstein Memorial Ballroom and the Arc de Trump and the Trump Kennedy Center. All he cares about is these vanity projects. At the same time, by the way, that everybody's struggling in this country, what's he doing? Self-dealing like nobody's ever seen before. Insider trading, pay for pardon schemes, where if you committed the worst crime in the world, you pay him $1 million, he'll sign that bitch and you're free to go. No problem whatsoever. You don't even have to pay restitution if you defrauded, thousands of people to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. That doesn't matter to him. He's robbing American taxpayers. I mean, it is out of this world. We're the reasonable ones. Come work with us. The Democrats used to be sane and now they're not. You are part of a fascist terrorist death cult led by the world's dumbest man. And you have the nerve to act like the Democrats have lost their way? Oh no, they found their way with candidates like Abdul El-Sayed. All right, here comes Jesse Waters, the guy who nobody in human history has ever had frat boy rapist energy more than this guy. Listen to what he has to say.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz joins us now. You think you'll be able to walk through the halls of the Senate, Senator, and bump into Abdul?
Look, Abdul, we're looking at Mao, we're looking at Che Guevara. This is literally a communist takeover of the Democrat Party. Saying those words, that sounds extreme, but...
That sounds extreme. Why do you talk like that? Why do you talk like that? Don't you have some fucking creepy porn to like on Twitter to then throw your staffer under the bus later and pretend it was him?
Takeover of the Democrat Party. Saying those words, that sounds extreme, but that is how they describe themselves. That
Yes, the Democrats are going, we love Mao and we love communism. No, Abdul El-Sayed is going, I think you deserve universal health care. I think you deserve a living wage. I think you deserve to not pay $4.30 a gallon for gasoline because the fat pedophile president decided to launch an illegal war and now the Strait of Hormuz is shut. These guys are so pathetic. They're so pathetic. All right, and now this one might be my favorite one because this was just before we got the results, and listen to what they say here.
But to your point, if you put them head to head, so right now El-Sayed is beating Haley Stevens, but Mike Rogers is beating him solidly. So by
the way, that's not true. So there was one poll that came out from the Haley Stevens people that showed that even though Abdul's beating her in the primary, in the general election, Haley Stevens beats Mike Rogers and Abdul loses to Mike Rogers. What they're not telling you is that was one poll. There's about 3 or 4 other polls which showed the exact opposite. Abdul beating Mike Rogers and Haley Stevens losing to Mike Rogers. So it was definitely like a push poll from the Stevens people. They did a number of those down the stretch where they released like, oh, here's one that looks good for us, but it was all fake. Okay, let's keep going. Here we go.
So as GOP, go ahead. I hope he wins because thankfully, I think Michigan will right the ship in the general.
I think that remains to be seen. It's hard to stop a freight train.
I just think people aren't voting. They're just not interested.
It's hard to stop a freight train, she says about Abdul El-Sayed's campaign. I believe that most Republicans do want to run against Abdul because they think Abdul is more beatable. But I also think they're just wrong and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? It really reminds me of 2016. It was called the Pied Piper strategy that Hillary Clinton and her team engaged in. They actively tried to boost support for Donald Trump. And they tried to pretend like, oh, we're the most scared of him. And the reason they did that is because they were convinced he was the most beatable of the Republican candidates. In other words, Hillary Clinton thought it's going to be tough to beat Jeb Bush or John Kasich or Ted Cruz in a general or Marco Rubio, but Donald Trump, it'll be easy to beat him. Well, how'd that work out? How'd that work out? And I think the Republicans are in a similar place now where like they just don't. I mean, the fact that they're still riding hard for Trump when he has a 30% approval rating, their political instincts are garbaggio, dog, like Trashington. So I think that they think Abdul is easier to beat, but I think they're wrong. I just think they're wrong. So we shall see. But man, they are crashing out on another level. MAGA is in an all-out panic over Abdul El-Sayed. I am here for it. But every time, look, this is how I'm going to act moving forward. Abdul doesn't have to do this, and he probably shouldn't do this. But for me and for everybody who's in my world, in the pundit world, in the commentary world, when they go low, I am going to go lower. When they go low and they lie, I'm going to tell the truth 10 times harder. So don't tell me that Abdul El-Sayed is a terrorist at the same time you support Trump, who pardoned somebody who laundered money for Al-Qaeda. Don't tell me that when Trump put somebody in as president of Syria who was a leader in Al-Qaeda, yet you're accusing Abdul El-Sayed of being a terrorist. Don't tell me that when you supported the Manab school bombing, which killed 160 or 170 little girls in Iran, don't tell me anybody else is a terrorist except you, motherfucking Mike Rogers. Look in the mirror, you punk-ass bitch. I'm done with these people, man. I'm done with them. We gotta destroy them. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. Every now and then, y'all, you see a clip that you can't believe. It is hard to wrap your mind around the fact that people can say the quiet part out loud this aggressively and not realize what they're putting out into the world. So this clip is going to live in infamy. It'll probably be in the history books. But here's John Cornyn. Now, John Cornyn is the Texas Republican senator who just lost the primary to Ken Paxton because Trump threw his weight behind Ken Paxton, even though Cornyn has been a loyal servant to Trump, probably voted with him over 95% of the time, but Trump found some issue that he wouldn't fucking let go of because he demands total fealty in every way. So now this guy's like sort of more freed up to tell the truth. But this is a moment I bet he wishes he had back, because this just shows the pathetic state of the so-called democracy in America. Listen to this. They're talking about the $1.776 billion illegal slush fund that Trump wants so he can pay off January 6th insurrectionists and terrorists and his cronies. And then they allegedly shelved it, but not really, because they're just trying to get it through a different way. And listen to what he says here. This is incredible.
I was saying as recently as yesterday that he likes the idea of this fund, that he wants to find some way to pay these people. Does that concern you as someone who's tried to fight against getting this anti-weaponization fund in place?
Well, there's nothing we could do to rein in the president when he said he likes the fund.
Well, there's nothing we can do to rein in the president. That is literally one of the core parts of your fucking job. That is like directly a thing you actually can do. You do know that, right? You are aware of that, right? It's like passing legislation, power of the purse, checking the president.
Well, there's nothing we could do to rein in the president when he said he likes the fund and he wishes it still exists, but the fact of the matter, it's dead. And that's all we could do under these circumstances.
Notice, every time a Democratic president is in power, it's the Democratic president and their cabinet that say, oh, there's nothing we could do about this, and this. It's very defeatist. It's very like, well, you know, whatever, we've been checked, we've been stopped, whether it's the courts or whether it's Congress. Somebody has found a way to put a roadblock in our way that we can't get past. But when it's a Republican president, it's the Senate that's going, oh, there's nothing we could do to rein in the president. Motherfucker, you absolutely can impeach him. You absolutely can 25th Amendment him along with the cabinet. You absolutely can rebuke fucking any of that shit. You can pass a law that says he can't do this fucking slush fund. And by the way, he literally doesn't have the authority to do this on his own, to create a $1.776 billion slush fund out of thin air on his own. That's illegal. Congress has the power of the purse. They're the ones who decide what tax money gets spent and where. And he's acting like that's not the case. He's acting like Trump is allowed to do the shit that he's doing. The insane defeatist bullshit. And this is a Republican who, again, is not coming back to Washington, D.C. He lost because of Trump. He has no incentive to say some shit like this. He's telling you what he actually thinks. Now, meanwhile, we know virtually every Republican in Washington, D.C., behind closed doors, they laugh at Donald Trump. They mock Donald Trump. They think he's a joke. They think he's pathetic. They hate him. They feel like he's making their lives harder, because he is making their lives harder, because they got to answer for all of his bullshit, which every day there's 7 new things that they got to defend. They don't like that, but all of them have fucking baby nuts. All of them are ridiculously pathetic, because when it comes to actually standing up to him, casting a vote against him. Oh, then all of a sudden, never in a million years, because they're careerists. They're careerists, they're corrupt, they're sellouts, they're pathetic. I mean, this is ridiculous. When you look at Joe Biden, and Joe Biden had a disastrous debate performance, and it was clear he lost not just a step, but multiple steps. He was cognitively struggling. I granted it happened a little too late than it should have, but the Democrats were like, all right, Joe, you got to kind of step aside. This is getting ridiculous. But Trump shows total physical decline, complete mental decline, and cognitive collapse. He's dealing with either congestive heart failure or mini strokes or Alzheimer's or whatever the fuck, and none of them care. They don't care. They don't try to stop him in any way, shape, or form. They don't try to check him on his most illegal actions. I mean, for the love of God, man, you have Congress, I believe, 3 separate times rebuke the illegal war against Iran. And so it's like, okay, you're admitting that this war he's doing, that he's still dropping bombs and shit, that's an illegal war. Why won't you all impeach him? For the love of God, impeach him. How do you not have the numbers for it yet? What would he have to do to get you? Like, if Trump, I mean this question sincerely, if Trump nuked Iran, would that be enough for these people to fucking impeach him? Or would they go, it takes a lot of votes, and I don't know if we have the votes, and why should we even try? Like, everything is so fucking defeatist all the time. Oh, there's nothing we can do to rein in the president. Jesus Christ. So you get another moment where they accidentally tell the truth. They say the quiet part out loud. And Trump gives us a lot of these moments now, too, as he goes from a low-filter guy to a no-filter guy because his brain is incapable of keeping up. Remember this moment? This is a fucking doozy right here. This should be running, by the way, if the Democrats knew what they were doing, this would be in every Democratic ad against the president across this country, in every single Senate race, in every congressional race. You tar every Republican with what Trump said here. Watch.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
Quote, I don't think about Americans' financial situation. You're the president of the United States of America. You don't think about one of the main fucking things it's your job to think about? God, all these moments, man, these moments are going to haunt us until the end of time. I don't know if we ever get this country back on track, but boy, oh boy, on the way down, do we get quite a few sound bites where people really laid it all out there. Holy shnikes. All right, not done yet, though, because then we also had this moment. Another, like, oh shit, did he just say that? Oh, did he just say that? Cornyn's walking around. There's nothing we could do here in the Senate to check the president. There's everything you could do. You're the only people in the country. You and the courts are the only people in the country who actually can check this motherfucker. Okay? Not doing it. Listen to what Trump said here. This one's crazy.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal.
We can't take care of daycare. We can't take care of Medicaid. We can't take care of Medicare. We got illegal wars we got to pay for. I started an illegal war against a country that didn't attack us and wasn't a threat to us in any way, shape, or form. And so I need to take all of your money and send it to bomb some more schoolgirls and some hospitals. Send it so our U.S. soldiers can die as well. That's what I need to do. I need to kill their civilians. I need to kill our soldiers. I need to steal your money and use it for that. I'm not paying for fucking daycare. He said, we can't pay for that. It's not possible. It's not possible. There's a bunch of governments around the world that do pay for this. It's simply a matter of caring enough to fucking pay for it. So he doesn't care about your financial situation at all. He can't fund daycare, Medicaid, or Medicare because of the illegal war that he wants to continue. And the bitch-ass Republican senators are such fucking massive cucks with micro balls that they come out and say, oh, there's nothing we can do to rein him in. There's nothing you can do to rein him in. There's about a dozen ways to directly rein him in on fucking anything you want to rein him in over. But the fact of the matter is you're little bitches, and you're terrified of a post over on Lie Social, which is totally juiceless at this point. Bro's got no sauce, no Riz, everybody hates him, 30% approval rating, and you're still scared of a post on Lie Social? This is beyond pathetic, but this is who these people are. Remember that. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. All right, so Jon Stewart had John Fetterman on his podcast, and suffice to say, Fetterman was left a babbling mess as Jon Stewart filleted him like a fish over his pathetic obsession with being pro-Israel as they committed genocide. Jon Stewart here is going to use logic and reason to like break things down in very simple terms for the ogre with brain damage, and unfortunately, he's not really able to grasp even this basic level of conversation that they're having, and he henceforth humiliates himself. Let's watch.
So for you, you could agree with them 90%, but Israel is the red line.
Absolutely. Israel for me. Like, I can't ever turn my back to Israel after where it's at.
So, and I mean no disrespect on this, but that is not our country. You're saying that these candidates may have great ideas for our economy.
The look John Fetterman gave when Stewart said that's not our country, and he's like, fair, I guess.
They may want to do the exact same thing you want to do in terms of getting money out of politics. They may want to increase the social safety net. They may want to change the balance of power from capital back to labor. But if they don't agree with you on Israel, you don't want them in your party.
Well, I don't know who you're referencing to specifically.
No, I'm referencing what you just said.
Name
so in other words, Syed or AOC or Bernie Sanders, I assume you agree with a lot of what they say economically.
And what I'm saying is, like, if you are a DSA member, if you are a member of a specific political party, run under your own banner. And now I think Bill Maher said something very insightful. He said, you know, the DSA are colonizing the Democratic Party.
Yeah, but Israel is not colonizing Palestine. The DSA is colonizing the Democratic Party, but Israel is not colonizing Palestine. They're not literally doing ethnic cleansing and genocide in Gaza, stealing the territory. They're not actually doing pogroms in the West Bank and stealing more and more territory there. They're not stealing massive swaths of Syria as they are. They're not stealing all of South Lebanon, which they are. Israel, the actual colonizers, are not colonizing, but DSA, plucky little DSA, is colonizing the massive Democratic Party. Oh my word, man. I don't even understand. Did you know that this guy is so far gone mentally that he was talking to his team and he thought he would be a good pick for vice president for a Democratic presidential candidate in 2028? Homie, he has a 19% approval rating with Pennsylvania Democrats. If he were to run again as a Democrat in Pennsylvania, he would lose to a fucking ham sandwich, okay? He would lose to Carrot Top. He would lose... Name somebody who's actually got a D by their name. By the way, I don't even know if Carrot Top's a Democrat, but you get the point. Anybody would beat him. Any motherfucking person would beat him. And he was like, I think I should totally be the VP of the Democrat ticket. I love Israel and Hamas is bad. Did you guys know? I'm not kidding about this. You can look it up. John Fetterman was caught. He literally has an Israeli handler. I believe the guy's last name is Safier, Saffier. He's got an Israeli handler. And this guy takes advantage of the fact that he's got limited cognitive capabilities now because he has brain damage from his stroke. And he turned him into a robot that only sucks off Israel.
Bill Maher said something very insightful. He said, you know, the DSA are colonizing the Democratic Party. So just be Democrats if you're going to run under the Democratic Party for that. Why have a DSA party for overall? So run on that, and you all understand.
It's just an organization. It's not, we
I know it's fucked up, but the way he awkwardly ends sentences and he has crash landings with the sentences, I find it genuinely funny. But now Jon Stewart's going to push back on this stupid idea start your own party.
I have a DSA party for overall. So run on that, and you all understand.
It's just an organization. It's not, we have a two-party system. It's like the Freedom Caucus in the Republican Party. There are, there's Randy Fine and Ogles and all these nutbags that are also part of an area, and Republicans, I'm sure, may not agree with all of them on all kinds of things, but there is no other party. I guess you could try it, but my point is, if you don't...
He's literally explaining the most simple terms imaginable to Fetterman. The fact of the matter is, if you want to actually win and get political power, you're going to run as a Democrat if you're a socialist or a democratic socialist or an actual lefty. That's the only way you're actually going to win, is to do that. That's why DSA does that. Right? It's not we're all so married to the Democratic brand. And Fetterman might know that, although maybe he doesn't. And That's why he's like, well, do your own party, which will then lose endlessly and let right-wing hacks control the Democratic Party. And Jon Stewart's like, have you heard of the Freedom Caucus? They're their own thing, but they're part of the Republican Party. We're sort of now doing that on the Democratic side. That's what Justice Democrats is. That's what Democratic Socialists of America are. And the ogre's sitting there like, no idea what's even going on.
Try it, but my point is, if you don't disagree with them on a lot of things, why not use some of that energy? And even like Mamdani in New York is DSA, but there are things in the DSA platform that he disagrees with. And I'm assuming there's probably things in the Democratic platform that you might disagree with, but you don't disavow the entire thing. You're literally saying we can all have discussions, except when it comes to Israel, which is not America. It seems like a weird line to draw.
Well, so then, I don't think that's weird. I think I think what history demonstrates is that when people or a government or people turn their back to the Jewish community, things end really badly.
Nobody is turning their backs on the Jewish community. They're turning their backs on an ethno-state that is an apartheid state and is committing terrorism on a daily basis and genocide and stealing more and more land. It is an ethno-supremacist state. The people who are actually getting their backs turned on them, it would be the Palestinians. That's who it would be. The Palestinians, in this analogy that you're trying to use, are the Jews in the 1930s and 40s, okay? And he just doesn't see it, doesn't care, because he's paid. He's paid not to see it.
Jewish community and Israel are not the same thing, brother.
Thank you.
They're not. That is not the same thing.
No. It's like, hey, it's like if I have to pick a side for after 10/7 and after Iran, I'm always going to stand with Israel. I'm always going to vote and support whatever that's necessary to protect themselves and to prosecute Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran too.
He literally doesn't have the mental and cognitive ability to understand that Israel is the aggressor in these circumstances. He doesn't get it. Even with Iran, you don't get it. It's not. They're not even really trying to hide it, and they didn't even do any propaganda. It was like, hey, we illegally and offensively attacked them and lied about some bullshit, nuclear weapons program, which wasn't real, and lied that we hit it. And then we just went back in there and started attacking them again. They were never a threat to us at all. We didn't even really bother to pretend they were. And he still sort of makes it like Israel's the one defending themselves. It's unbelievable.
I'm always going to vote and support whatever that's necessary to protect themselves and to prosecute Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran too. And the very left never said a peep after Iran executed 30 to 40,000 young people in there.
Well, first of all, they didn't execute 30 to 40,000 young people. That's complete and utter bullshit. You can be critical of the IRGC and a Shia Islamist government, but also not be in favor of bombing their innocent civilians, right? Like, that should be pretty straightforward. I don't want us to wage an illegal war of aggression, but I also do have criticisms of that government. But you know what? In this moment, it almost makes it so that I don't want to help the stupid propaganda that feeds this war, so I'm more hesitant to even discuss my criticisms of the IRGC in a moment like this. Why? Because we're triple tapping their little girls' schools and bombing hospitals and bombing power plants and threatening nuclear annihilation. But he makes it even less likely, like, we'd get a decent government over there.
And the very left never said a peep after Iran executed 30 to 40,000 young people in there just for protesting for democracy.
You think that the left is pro-Iran, not the country, but the regime?
What I'm saying though is, like, if anyone in the Democratic Party is fine with Iran
in the Demo Party, oh my God, he literally can't talk, bro. He literally can't talk.
If anyone in the Democratic Party is
the Demo Party, oh my God,
fine with Iran building a nuclear bomb, I disagree with that person.
That's literally only me. I'm like the only person who openly says that. And by the way, I'm right. Like, everybody else could disagree with me on this. I don't care. I'm right. And deep down, I think everybody knows it. That when you look at Israel and the U.S., the axis of Epstein, we're the ones who are starting the illegal wars. We're the ones that are the aggressors. Yes, if you have nuclear weapons in your Iran, that serves as a defensive deterrent against Western aggression. Period. Full stop. That's why Libya was overthrown and Gaddafi was sodomized with a bayonet. That's why Saddam Hussein is now dead, but Kim Jong-un is alive because he has a nuclear weapon, which is a deterrent. We wouldn't have even had an illegal war against Iran if Iran already had a nuclear weapon. I know that's politically incorrect to say. I know that, like, I'm the only person who makes this argument, but it's true. That's why I fucking say it. But he's trying to tar other, like, Democrats as believing what I believe, which they don't. Are you kidding me? Every single one of them would debate me on whether or not Iran should be able to have a nuke.
Again, I think you're caricaturing the issue, but is there anything you would criticize Israel about?
No. No, there isn't. I love where that cut off. I got to watch this full thing when it drops. I don't know, may have already dropped, but the answer to that is no. Like, sincerely, no. He doesn't criticize Israel, period, full stop. Like, literally anything and everything they do, he rides hard for them. Here's the thing you need to understand. It is getting to the point, it's kind of impossible to be a Democrat and be pro-Israel. It really is. Because what is Israel? It is definitionally an ethno-state. It is exactly like apartheid South Africa, except it's not just ethnic lines, it's also like religious lines that the supremacist state is drawn on, right? The lines it's drawn on. You can't say, I support secularism and the Enlightenment and democracy and freedom and one person, one vote on the one hand, but I draw an exception to that in this one specific area where it's okay to dominate an entire group of people out of second-class citizens and treat them like shit. That doesn't make sense. So you can't really be a Democrat and be pro-Israel. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It's a total fucking contradiction. And he's trying to ride this bitch into the ground. And you know what? It's not going to work. You lost. And by the way, he acts like, like he's so in the right. Homie, look at a poll. I mean, the Democratic base is overwhelmingly against you on this. I mean, it's like 80, 90% that are anti-Israel, anti-genocide, don't want to send them money and weapons anymore. So, like, if he's threatening, this is the red line and I leave the party if the Democratic Party becomes anti-Israel, don't let the door hit you on the way out, bitch, because the voters have already spoken. And you know what? You're not like a key constituency that we need. No, we can win by having liberals, leftists, and independents all come together to defeat MAGA fascism. And I'm sorry, but the fact of the matter is, AIPAC equals MAGA. Israel equals MAGA at this point. Don't take my word for it. Go look at the polling numbers. Go look at how much they love Donald Trump in the state of Israel. Go look at how much they love the illegal war against Iran. Go look at how much they loved the wanton violence and genocide done against Gaza. It's just a fact at this point. Like, they're one and the same. I'm sorry, you cannot be a Democrat or even just a liberal and be pro-Israel at this point. You just can't. You just can't. So he's this walking fucking contradiction, and he thinks he's freaking it. He's not. Everybody hates him, and this is why he has a 19% approval rating with Democrats in his own state of Pennsylvania. And he's cooked. He's barbecued. It's done. So it looks like Jon Stewart did a good job with him. Filleted him like a fucking fish, and I can't wait to watch the whole thing.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Tucker Carlson has apparently been working behind the scenes to try to get together this gaggle, this group of anti-Trump Republicans who, have recently had their enlightenment moment where they realized Trump's a psychopath and he betrayed everybody and hasn't stayed true to any of his promises. And so he had like Joe Kent and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie and a bunch of others. And I think they're going to try to either create some sort of third party, which would be a wasted effort because it wouldn't go anywhere in this two-party country. Or they might try to do their own version of like a DSA type thing and have candidates run as Republicans and potentially Democrats under a certain banner. But clearly they're working on something where they're trying to like break away and have a different approach to politics, okay? And, in the course of a recent podcast, he said something which caught my eye, and this somebody posted this on Twitter. And think about how terrifying this is, that a former Trump ally who rode hard for him is now casually saying stuff like this. Listen, this is about the Iran war and Trump.
It has been obvious to me since day one that this was moving toward a nuclear exchange. I just thought that from the very beginning.
The really dark part about that, though, is it's not an exchange.
Well, exactly. Sorry, that's just a phrase.
Yeah, but how dark is that to even
Well, I don't know. We're assuming that there would be no response. I mean, there are a lot of other players in this beyond just Iran. And there are a lot of countries with nuclear weapons, including Pakistan. And, there's a lot could happen. But the use of nuclear weapons for the first time in 80 years, I thought that immediately.
He says it's obvious to him that this is moving towards a nuclear exchange. Obvious to him. Not only is that correct, why are there not more Democrats saying this? That when we talk about Trump, remember in his first term, people don't bring the story up nearly enough. Trump thought, can I nuke this hurricane because I think it'll stop it in its tracks? There was detailed reporting on that I think multiple people behind the scenes were like, Trump was asking to use nuclear weapons on a hurricane. Trump was asking about that. There's been a number of reports this time around, this term, he's got this morbid fascination with nuclear weapons and playing God and seeing what he can get away with. You've had countless examples. I mean, shit, what are we on? Like 4 different examples now, 4 different instances where he's either directly or indirectly threatened a nuclear attack on Iran. We've had a whole civilization will die. Remember that? He casually, a whole civilization will die. Casually tweeted some shit like that, like it was nothing. We also have the reports that the Israelis were pushing, and Trump was open to the idea of using tactical nukes against this place called Pickaxe Mountain, where they're making up that Iran took all their nuclear material and put it over there. This is real, bro. The fact that we're even having this conversation, the fact that this is even a thought should drive you crazy. We've all become so numb to Trump's psychotic actions that, we let shit slide that we shouldn't let slide at all. There's 17 different massive scandals a day, so you can't keep up. But I don't know, man. To me, this is sort of like the big one. This is sort of the big one. And now he's in a fucking corner, as I pointed out to you before. He lost the war. It's over. It's done. There's no way we can win. No way. No way at all. And so in that situation, a guy who never takes an L, what's he liable to do? Either he'll basically agree to the surrender terms but try to spin it like we won. That's possible, right? So just lie relentlessly. Or he'll think, well, what if I just drop a Moab on them? Or what if I just use a bunker-busting nuclear weapon? Or what if I just use chemical weapons or biological weapons or whatever the fuck? This is where we're at. What if I try to take Keshem Island and Karg Island and hold it, which will, take away their ability to make money off their oil? What if I just do a little ground invasion over here? We have the Kurds and the Iraqis, and they help us, and we invade here, and, we have Europe help us out or whatever. These are the sorts of conversations they're having. And at the same time, by the way, mind you, we also just ran out of our long-range missiles. We also have used about 80% of our missile interceptors, which means that Israel, for example, is a sitting motherfucking duck, which the U.S. is not going to abide Israel getting lit the fuck up by Iran. So what are they liable to do in that scenario? You know what they're liable to do in that scenario. He's liable to press that big red button. That's what he's liable to do. And as I've told you, he is a malignant narcissist. These people can't imagine a world without them. They are the world. They are the universe. And so when they're gone, they don't want anybody else to be around either. They want the world to end with them. So I wouldn't put it past him to do some shit like that. Putin is also a malignant narcissist. Netanyahu is also a malignant narcissist. They're liable to do fucking anything. I mean, you have Netanyahu right now. What's he fighting on? 7 different fronts? I'm not kidding about this. You have the genocide in Gaza. You have the pogroms in the West Bank where they're trying to steal that. They've stolen parts of Syria. They've stolen South Lebanon. There's multiple. I mean, it's endless. It is fucking endless what we're witnessing here. These people, and nothing's stopping them. Nothing's holding them back. And it takes a fucking former MAGA conservative commentator to come out and say, look, we might have fucking nuclear weapons. There might be fucking nuclear weapons that are used in this thing. Do not rule that out by any stretch of the imagination. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. I think Democrats need to talk about it more. I think there actually needs to be. Now you have even fucking Alex Jones is calling to impeach Donald Trump. Think about how far gone we are when Alex Jones has to come out and sound like the voice of motherfucking reason. By the way, they got us in this position. Tucker got us here. Alex Jones got us here. When we told them the truth originally, they told us to shut the fuck up and that we have Trump derangement syndrome. Now they realize that we're right. But it's time to fucking catch up, man. It's time to catch up. This cannot continue. I mean, you can go look at the Secular Talk video library, and we covered every single time Trump either in a subtle way or an overt way made a nuclear threat. You can go watch those videos. It's happened multiple times. And that's just shit. I mean, it's possible. And for people to say, oh, no, that would never happen. Well, people also said it would never happen, that he would kidnap Maduro, the sovereign leader of Venezuela, and steal their oil and their gold and put the money from it in a private bank account that only he controls in Qatar. And then he fucking did exactly that. Okay? They said oh, he'll never actually do the war against Iran. Well, now he did. How many times have we, he wouldn't actually do that thing. And then he does the thing that we're told he would never actually do the thing. It's happened time and time and time again. And in this second Trump regime, it's whatever the worst case scenario is, usually comes to fruition. And we're witnessing that shit right now. So I don't know how else to get it across to people. They got to wake up. It's like a nightmare that we're in right now. But when you have even people like Tucker Carlson are saying very clearly that this guy wants to use nukes. He's obsessed with using nukes. He has a fascination with it. He's threatened it. And that from when this fight began, bro, from when the fight began, he said, I felt like this was going to go towards nukes. Yeah, I'm so tired of the lack of talk around impeachment or the 25th Amendment or holding him accountable in any way, shape, or form. 3 times now, Congress passed a war powers resolution saying that the war against Iran has to end, and Trump has blown it off completely. That alone also should be grounds for impeachment. It's illegal to start a war without congressional approval. And he did that. And now he's been rebuked 3 times, and he's still fucking going. What are we waiting for here? What are we waiting for? Wakey, wakey, everybody. History is watching us. How many times do I have to say this? How many times do I have to get it across? And you think he's going to stop here? You think he's not going to also try to take Cuba? You think he's not also going to attack other countries? You think Greenland is not actually in the cards? They want to do all of this shit. They want to do all of this shit. And when a malignant narcissist like him takes an L in one arena, he tries to get it back in another arena. So more warmongering, more death, more destruction, more innocent people's lives ruined, and we're all just sitting here and watch it unfold. We can't do that anymore.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about this because this is honestly probably one of the biggest scams I've ever seen in U.S. history, and not nearly enough people are talking about it. But this whole trade war thing and this whole tariff thing that Trump was obsessed with and that he leaned into, well, if you don't remember what happened, he did these like across-the-board universal tariffs and slapped it on people, allies and enemies alike. And then the Supreme Court heard the case. A different court heard it, got all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically said these across-the-board tariffs are completely unconstitutional and you can't do them. Now, Trump has since come out and said, well, I'll do the tariffs this other way. And, you know, Republicans never just take no for an answer. They never just hold the L. They have the logic of a rapist. They just keep going and try to cross boundaries and try to push it further and further. So Trump's trying again through a different passageway. But what ended up happening? Well, the Supreme Court says the tariffs are illegal. You can't just do them, and you're going to have to refund the money from the tariffs. Okay. Well, when I saw that, I went, okay, that's great. That's awesome. We love that. I mean, he got rebuked. He got stopped. It's a clear loss for him. But here's the problem. Many people, to your credit, you guys pointed this out in the comment section. You were like, hey, Kyle, we had to pay the tariffs. The consumer pays the tariffs. But now with the rebates, it ain't going back to the fucking consumers, bro. The rebates are going right back to the motherfucking companies. So the companies passed off the cost of the tariffs onto us, but then they get rebates and it goes right to them. Oh my God. So look at this. Apple received $2.2 billion tariff refund this quarter from the U.S. government. Tariff costs were passed on to the people while corporations got massive refunds. This was a giant scam. And what happens when you have a government that exists to serve capital, not people? Let me ask y'all this question. Was this the plan all along? Did Trump do the tariffs knowing this was all kayfabe, right? Knowing it was going to get slapped down. The Supreme Court was going to say, you can't do it. You got to refund the money. And then the refunds went to the corporations. The same corporations, mind you, that are in cahoots with Donald Trump, and they pay Trump, they pay the Republican politicians, and they help get them in power. So Trump is buddy-buddy with them. He's a billionaire. They're billionaires. You know, the corporations have all the power. They meet in a smoke-filled back room. Here's an idea. How about you, Trump, do the tariffs? You know, we'll pass it off to the consumer. The consumers will pay it. Then they'll demand a refund, and then the refund comes to us. What if it was planned like this from the beginning? Now, if you say, well, hold on, Kyle, I'm not convinced of that. Well, does this help you maybe consider it a different way? Tariff costs were passed on to the people while corporations got billions in tariff refunds. This is what happens when your government exists to serve capital, not people. Tariff refund. Here's a friendly graphic here that, or a handy graphic that really lays it out for you. Tariff refunds to major companies. $2.2 billion to Apple. $600 million to Amazon, $10.2 billion to Walmart, $2.2 billion to Target, $986 million to Nike, $1.3 billion to Ford, $500 million to General Motors, $540 million to Home Depot. These companies paid nothing in tariffs. They passed it all off to us. And now they're just being handed massive checks, no strings attached. It's another scam. It's another con. And this has happened time and time and time again, man. I honestly don't understand how we can keep getting railroaded like this. I mean, we covered a study, a Rand Corporation study. The top 1% stole $80 trillion from the bottom 90% since 1974 by rigging the rules of the government. Okay, they get tax cuts, they get subsidies, our taxes go up, they destroyed unions. If we just had the same wealth discrepancy as 1974, every working American would have an extra at least $1,144 per month, every year, for the rest of your life until you die. They've stolen that from you. The billionaires and the corporations have stolen that from you, and now they found another way to rob you. So I don't know. I'll ask you guys, is this something that they just planned from the beginning? And they knew, hey, this is how it's going to work. The Supreme Court will slap it down, and Trump probably gets a piece of this shit because it's a mobocracy, and he's the mob boss, right? I mean, we've seen him do all sorts of pay-to-play corruption. We've seen him do insider trading out the wazoo. We've seen a pay-for-pardon scheme that was set up. I mean, you can't, like, it's actually immeasurable the amount of criminality this guy gets away with. I've never seen anything like it. So I believe that this is not beyond the scope of what they would do. I could see them doing this and thinking nothing of it. I could see them doing this evil scheme. Guys, their creativity is off the charts when it comes to criminality. When it comes to helping you, they don't do it, they don't care, they don't try. It means nothing to them. But when it comes to enriching themselves, boy, oh boy, do they get clever. Do they get creative. And you got Howard Nutlick and people like that, Epstein insiders, Epstein buddies, and they're the ones who also are helping to craft these criminal schemes. Steve Witkoff probably, Jared Kushner, they probably all brainstormed, came up with this idea, and now here we are. And the corporations run out the back door with all the money again, as you can't afford gas, you can't afford groceries, your wages are stagnant, you don't get paid vacation time by law, you can't afford fucking childcare, you got all these problems, and they're running out the back door with all the money yet again, right in front of our faces. So I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. You tell me. I kind of think that this was planned. I kind of think that this was a scheme from the very beginning. And if it was, boy, oh boy, did it work exactly like they wanted it to work. By the way, if I remember correctly, I think it's Howard Nutlick is invested in a company that made money off of the refunding of the tariffs. And that company was set up before we even got the Supreme Court decision. So it's almost like he knew, and they all knew, this is what's going to happen, and we're going to profit off that shit. Everything is a grift with these people. Everything is a grift with these people. Never forget that.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, man, we got to talk about this. These flock cameras are completely and utterly out of control. Everything I'm seeing is horrifying. One thing after the next on this thing is fucking horrifying. So take a look at this. An Atlanta area police chief accessed flock cameras 500 times to track the movements of his ex-girlfriend and her teenage daughter. At least 50 cops have been similarly charged with misusing flock, including to stalk women without their knowledge or consent. So this is literally straight out of the Washington Post, how rogue officers turned a nationwide camera network into a tool for stalking. Flock's array of license plate cameras was built to fight crime, but at least 50 law enforcement officers were charged with or accused of misusing it and other systems. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what happens. Exactly what happens when it comes to these sorts of power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so we saw this with Edward Snowden and Glenn Greenwald when they did the leaks on the NSA, the Patriot Act, all the NSA spying programs. Edward Snowden was the one who exposed they were not just using this to go after criminals or terrorists or whatever the fuck. They basically got rid of your constitutional right to privacy. Okay, that's what they did. And they had... It was like standard operating procedure that they would abuse their authority and spy on their love interest, for example. Well, now they have those powers on steroids. Now they can spy even more than they could in the past. And it's getting to the point where we're living in a police state. This is police state type shit. They say over the next 7 months, Steffman continued to search for Bakley's plate over 500 more times, specifically tracking an ex of his. Okay, More Perfect Union says, in one California town, Flock misread license plates in 71% of cases. 71% of the time they misread license plates. Out of a sample of 1,427 alerts that Flock sent to police in the town of Roseville, alerts that flagged vehicles as stolen or used in a felony after they passed one of the city's Flock cameras, 71% were inaccurate. One man's car was misidentified by Flock 6 times. So you have this power that nobody should have, this mass spying power, which is already being abused. But not only is it being abused, also, in many ways, it's stupid and incompetent and dumb and wrong about shit. And so you're getting all sorts of innocent people tangled up in the web. It'd be bad enough if it's being used to go after the quote-unquote right people who committed the crime, but it's even worse when it's going after innocent people and mistaking them. And by the way, what also happens, usually when somebody has information from the system, they're convinced it's real, so those people get harassed. Those people have their days ruined. those people, are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm totally innocent. And they're treated like they're not. All right, more. A police chief in Georgia used Flock's cameras to track his girlfriend and her teen daughter nearly 600 times. So we already talked about this one here. He's one of 50 cops we found misusing Flock. One of 50 cops. Here's a text message thing between them. How did you see I went to Cleveland the other day? I didn't tell you. I told you I looked it up, said the creepy-ass cop. How would you know, though? Where did you look? Flock camera. I was in a spiral that day. I won't ever look again because of Jesus saved my ass from my pain and trauma. What's a Flock camera? It's a camera system that reads tags. Don't worry, I'm not tracking you or some weird stalker shit. Anyways, are you now telling your friends I did that? I'm not tracking you or some weird stalker shit, as he's doing exactly motherfucking that. I can't, bro. I can't with this shit. And then also, Truth Out says the following. Israeli firm plans expanding its deployment of video-altering tech. The lead investor behind Flock also funds a company that can hack security cameras and change the footage. The new police state is here. ICE is basically a Gestapo paramilitary that answers to nobody except Trump. They commit crimes all the time. They're a roving gang of criminals and thugs. They're a criminal syndicate. And now we also have mass spying that would make the Patriot Act days look quaint in comparison. All of your freedoms are being taken away. All of your liberty is being taken away. And this is happening under a conservative, Republican, fascist regime, the Trump regime. So, look, I don't want to hear anything. If you are a principled libertarian, you actually should vote for Democrats and not Republicans. You should actually vote, because Republicans are very clearly, they are the insane warmongers. They are the insane warmongers. Also, look at... who's George W. Bush and Dick Cheney? They are Republicans, and they're the ones who ushered in the Patriot Act in the first place. Now, you could argue Democrats haven't done enough to dismantle these systems. I agree. But the ones who consistently start the atrocious authoritarian programs are the Republicans. And here we are now dealing with all this Flock bullshit. And it is total police state garbage. Mass surveillance, mass spying. Orwell's rolling over in his grave right now. And the more information we get, the more of a horror show it's going to be. Because I guarantee you, these things are incredibly fucking widespread. They got it. ICE is going around trying to get DNA information on everybody, and they're keeping a long list of people that are enemies of the state. At the same time, they're putting up these things. We also have NSPM7, where they specifically say we're targeting liberals and leftists and people who dissent against MAGA as if they're enemies of the state, as if they're terrorists. It's all happening, bro. It's all happening, and it's very ugly. It's very scary. It's terrifying. And the only position that's the reasonable position on this is every single one of those motherfucking Flock cameras needs to be removed. Every single one of them. We don't want to live in a dystopian, sci-fi, futuristic hellscape where the sky is always red, the air is always polluted, and the government's tracking your every single motherfucking move. But that's what we're on track to do. In fact, you could argue we're getting there now already.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So we've been detailing the horror show that is ICE, and the most important point to take away when we talk about ICE is that this is not simply a government agency, and this is most definitely not law enforcement by any stretch of the imagination. What we're dealing with here is a Gestapo paramilitary whose purpose is mass kidnappings, abductions, human trafficking. The whole point is to get rid of due process. The whole point is to make it so you don't need a warrant anymore, even though you're constitutionally required to get a warrant, but they're not even getting warrants. No habeas corpus, no due process. It is astonishing what we're witnessing. The all-out war being waged against human rights and civil liberties and basic justice. I mean, it is a war on the Constitution itself being led by the Trump regime. Well, the horror show has not stopped, even though it's not in the media nearly as much these days. So let me give you these updates here, because these are completely crazy. So let's start with this. Jordan Chariton of Status Coup. By the way, everybody go subscribe to Status Coup. They do a phenomenal job. They are doing real journalism on the ground. They've been tracking this closer than anybody. He says, breaking, another Delaney Hall ICE prisoner has died. I think it's 53 or 54 people have died in ICE custody. And I don't even know if that includes the people who've just been murdered by ICE and shot in the face, like Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy and all the others. Over 4,000 people are missing because of ICE. They went to Alligator Alcatraz, or as we called it, Alligator Auschwitz, and now they're gone. Nobody knows where the fuck they are. It's absolutely insane. It is ludicrous that this is happening in this country in the year 2026. Okay, look at this one. Prisciliano Trejo, who had leukemia, was reportedly denied medical care by ICE for 8 days while in a detention center run by Core Civic. Think about this, guys. He died just days later, and ICE is already shirking accountability. After denying him care, they released him to his family, where he died shortly after. They likely did this to avoid having another official death in custody and to keep their own horrific statistics from looking worse. ICE and Core Civic cannot get away with this. We must eliminate every for-profit detention facility and dismantle ICE entirely. This has happened across the country when it comes to these ICE concentration camps. They do not give people the medical care that they're required by law to give them. They deny them their medicines, which in many cases are life-saving. They deny them care when they're experiencing some sort of acute disaster, right? If they're having a stroke or if they're having, whatever other, a heart attack, whatever it may be, they deny them care, or they'll like give them Advil or some shit. It is preposterous. We basically have made it so all these ICE detention facilities are flat out concentration camps now. And people barely talk about it. They barely bring it up. It is amazing to me. So this guy had leukemia, didn't get the treatment, was released at the last second just so that they wouldn't have the official death on their records, and then he died immediately at home. But how about this one? I mean, you want to talk about something that should be front page news that everybody should be talking about, but unfortunately they're not because we live in hell? Look at this. Right Wing Watch says, new report. 59 ICE and Custom and Border Patrol agents are accused, charged, or convicted of violent and sexual crimes. 35 cases allege sex offenses against children, the largest single category. 25 cases are from just 2025 and 2026, indicating an acceleration of degenerates recruited under Trump. And we know that's true. We know that's true. The most recent ICE killer, you guys saw his track record. You guys saw he had severe psychological issues. You guys saw he had a history of domestic abuse. And they gave him a badge and a gun. They gave him a badge and a gun because they want criminals who will do Trump's bidding. But now we have 59 violent sexual criminals. 59. 35 of them cases of fretophilia. We have a fretophilia epidemic in ICE. That's insane. Report finds pattern of child sexual abuse among immigration enforcement agents. You've had people graped in ICE custody. You've had that happen. In fact, some people literally got convicted on it. I know it's shocking that anybody who's an ICE Gestapo thug was ever convicted of anything. But in at least one instance, the guy was convicted of graping the women that he detained illegally, by the way. Insane. And now we have a mass fretophilia problem. And honestly, this should come as no surprise to people when there's allegations that these concentration camps are also using the people to do slave labor. This should come as no surprise to people when they're so depraved, the people in this so-called agency, that they've assaulted senior citizens, and there's pictures of it and there's video of it. They shot a priest in the face with a pepper ball. They tear gassed a baby. They ran over people with cars. They tear gassed journalists and cops. Remember the story when they zip-tied naked kids and put them in the back of a U-Haul van after they had a helicopter land on an apartment building, and then they raided the apartment building? There's literally not a single undocumented immigrant family. It was all U.S. citizens, and they took their naked kids and handcuffed them and put them in the back of U-Haul vans. I guarantee you that there's documented human trafficking going on with this agency. I guarantee you. I mean, you've seen the stuff on video. You saw them tackle a 79-year-old car wash owner and hospitalize him. You saw them deport a guy who was wrongfully imprisoned for 40 years. He was in prison wrongly for 40 years, got released, and they immediately deported him. You can't make this shit up. There's somebody who had a fragrance that was called like narcotic or something like that. They deported him for having that because they said he's got narcotics on him. I'm not kidding. These are all actual stories. They've raided schools and and meat packing facilities and farms and Home Depots and 7-Elevens. They allegedly lynched a guy. They deported a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer. Do you not get yet how this is not a government agency? It's a criminal syndicate. Do you not understand that? They tried to arrest a woman immediately after she gave birth. An American citizen was arrested by ICE because they were speaking Mayan, a different language. You've had a U.S. Marshal was fucking arrested by them. It's insane. We've never seen anything like this before, where you have somebody with a mom and dad tattoo was sent to CKOT because the ICE Gestapo thug said, no, that's not a mom and dad tattoo. That's a gang tattoo. And then don't even get me started on the court orders that they've ignored completely. I mean, they've made a habit of ignoring virtually every court order. It's astonishing. It's astonishing. Also, the Trump administration has detained more than 50 spouses and parents of U.S. troops in immigration crackdown. So now, let me ask you a question. Why would any immigrant to this country agree to be in our military when this is how they're treated? Why would any of them agree? Why would I fight for a country that doesn't give a single solitary shit about me or my family? The whole deal of being an immigrant but joining the military is like, I will show allegiance and loyalty to this country and this country will pay it back. But the Trump regime is absolutely obliterating that 1,000 ways because they're going after people who are military families. I mean, you can't make this up. It is so insane. And by the way, if that all didn't freak you out enough, how about this one? New reporting reveals ICE collected DNA samples from nearly 1 million people last year, including nearly 500 children under the age of 14. What the fuck are they doing with that? What the fuck are they doing with that? The most disturbing fact of all to me is that a lot of these people who we know are criminals, the person who killed Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, a lot of these people, they're still on the job. They were just shuffled to a different state. But you have people with documented histories of massive psychological problems, people with violent criminal histories, people who are openly part of extremist political groups like the Oath Keepers or the 3%ers or the Proud Boys or the Klan. They're part of ICE. The people who signed up for ICE, who got approved, I'm not kidding when I say this, these are people who want a civil war. And they're joining ICE, which is like the red state guard, and they want to go into all these blue states and blue cities and start cracking skulls and assaulting minorities and locking people up for political purposes. That's what this is. And anybody who tells you otherwise is full of shit. They're lying. They're wrong. They're dead wrong. And you need to realize that. So understand something. If you're a Democrat, you need to run on Abolish ICE. If you're not running on Abolish ICE, you're simply not serious. You're not serious. Because guess what? Democrats either know the things I'm telling everybody now, or they intuitively feel and viscerally feel like that's kind of what's going on, is a criminal gang is committing criminal activities, right? Like, they know. People know. So if you're a Democrat and you're saying anything other than abolish ICE, fucking think again. Get your shit together. Because in the year 2026 and moving forward, it ain't going to happen. This rogue regime is going to be fucking dismantled brick by brick. And Stephen Miller's going to be in prison. And fucking Bovine Boy is going to be in prison. And Hamhead Holman is going to be in prison. They're all going to prison because they all committed crime after crime after crime. And everybody knows it.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, time for a check-in on Asmongold, or as we call him over here with love, Asmeinkampf. They say here, Asmongold thinks undocumented children crossing the border illegally with their parents should be fair game to shoot, casually advocating for shooting children on his stream. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that great? All right, let's go ahead and listen, and we'll break it down as we go. This is the first time I'm listening to this, by the way.
Is shoot him, problem solved? That's what I would do. That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot him.
Right to the point. We're 5 seconds in. He already said the thing. They should just fucking shoot them. Talking about the children of immigrants. That's great. That's awesome.
Is shoot him, problem solved? That's what I would do. That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot him. Like, I've said this before. Like, I know that it might sound like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. I have no sympathy for doing that, and I would do that in a second.
Why should your sympathy matter in the situation? You might not have sympathy for somebody who's the victim of a murder because that person was an asshole to you. Why should that matter? The law should have nothing to do with how you feel about it, right? It's about objective rules put in place for a fucking reason. This is what has become of a lot of right-wing commentary now. Like, it broke up and it went two different ways. You have the white nationalist types and the Groypers and the Nazi types, right? And they go in like the Fuentes route. And then you have the Asmongold route, where instead of, back in the day, the conservative audience liked to feel like there was a fake intellectual on their side. Somebody like Ben Shapiro, who would talk really fast and make highfalutin sounding arguments that were actually stupid, but at least he was pretending to try to be smart, right? Now those people are like, we're done with the fake smart thing. Just give me a grunting ogre who's going to say incredibly violent and sadistic shit. Because at the end of the day, that's what marries together every Republican voter and every conservative, is being sadistic. The fascism instinct is now overwhelming to these people, and they can't even bother to hide their sadism, and so it manifests in situations like this. All right, we're 16 seconds in. I'm going to try to shut the fuck up and let him talk.
Do that. I have no sympathy for doing that, and I would do that in a second. Because it's the right thing to do in the long term. You can never look at, in a very, very isolated incident, you could say, and there's always, this is emotional blackmail, right? Well, you can't shoot these people, they have kids with them. Well, then don't bring your kids. If you don't want to get shot, then don't bring your fucking kids. It's really simple.
What if they're escaping a war? What if they're escaping a war? What if they're escaping a cartel that has them marked for death? What if they're escaping a situation where they're dumpster diving in order to survive and there's no opportunity there whatsoever? Like, what would you do for your kids, right? Or what would your parents do for you? Everybody would react the same. Everybody's just trying to live a decent life. And so, but he makes it like it's a fucking offense punishable by death? I can't.
You mean you'd shoot adults and deport the kids, right? Well, I'd shoot whoever. Yeah, I'd shoot whoever. I mean, if it's kids, women, men, anybody, just shoot them.
I mean, what is there to even say? One of the defining characteristics of a conservative is being functionally incapable of putting the shoe on the other foot, putting yourself in the position of the person that you're talking about. Because they just think like, that's not me, so whatever. But it's like, but it is, right? Like, we're all human. We're all part of the same thing here. And that very easily could be you. You very easily could be raised. It's totally arbitrary. You were born and raised in the U.S. You easily could have been born in motherfucking Guatemala or China or Madagascar or anywhere. And so in that scenario, if you're poor, if you're downtrodden, if there's a war going on, if you're desperately trying to escape to save your life and give your kids a chance at a better future, give yourself a chance at a better future, have a guaranteed next meal or whatever, and you want to go to a more stable society, right? Like, you could that could be you, Asmongold. That could be your parents taking care of you, or you taking care of your theoretical kids, even though I don't think you have any. Like, how do you not get that? How do you not get that? And what's monstrous is that you really have sort of broken everything down into a rigid hierarchy when it comes to human beings. Like, there's certain kinds of human beings are at the top of the hierarchy. White people, conservatives, like they get full humanity granted to them, but as you go down the line, right, and you get to left-leaning people, and you get to minorities, black people, brown people, whatever, then it's like zero sympathy, zero empathy, and, you know, basically treat them like they're otherized, treat them like they're animals, treat them like even lower than animals. And like, I just think that's one of the core and key differences between the left and the right, is that the left, at the very least, puts in some amount of effort to empathize and sympathize and put the shoe on the other foot and try to craft a system that is a bare minimum amount of humane. But these guys actually take joy and pleasure in not being humane. Like, and it also might stem from the fact that they're miserable and they want to, like, you know, put their misery on others. And so the way they do that is to take joy in others' pain. It's very strange. It's a weird psychological thing, but I feel like there's a lot of that going on as well.
They're going to stop coming over. Because if you don't do that, they'll use children and women as shields to get themselves over. And then they'll put more women and children at risk because they know that they can use them as collateral so they can get more of themselves over. That's the way it works. That's the way an animal thinks, and these people are animals. They're savages.
No.
Absolute fucking savages. That they can use them as collateral so they can get more of themselves over. That's the way it works. That's the way an animal thinks, and these people are animals. They're savages. Absolute fucking savages.
The stupidity is literally off the charts. It's immeasurable. He's even dumber than I thought he was. I didn't have a high opinion of him before. My opinion of him now is even fucking lower. And why do I say that? Because he's calling others animals and savages as he's advocating for shooting children, for murdering kids. You're the animal. You're the savage. What would make somebody a barbarian, an animal, a savage? Supporting stuff like murdering kids. murdering innocent people. And you literally just advocated for that. Could you imagine if an immigrant killed children of a U.S. citizen? He would say that's an animal, that's a barbarian, that's a savage. Of course he would. And in that scenario, it would be wrong if you're murdering kids. Anybody who murders kids in my book is an animal and a fucking savage and a barbarian. But it's amazing to me. He says the things back to back, doesn't realize it. You should kill these kids, but also these people are savages and barbarians and animals. They are not capable of objective, rational thought. They're not capable of holding themselves to the same standard that they hold others to. They're not capable. They have this thing in their head where they don't understand the concept of hypocrisy as it applies to them. They don't get it. They don't get it. And it's astonishing to see. It's like watching somebody struggle with a math problem that's like 2 + 2 = 4. And they sit there and they can't fucking figure it out. Right? That's what it's like. That's what it's like. I can't, man. Anyway, this is here's one of your figureheads to the conservative movement out there, to the Republicans, to, the rising fascists. Here you go. This is your people. An unwashed guy with rats crawling all over him, with a fucking junkyard behind him, a fucking dump behind him, ranting about how, the others are filthy and they're degenerates and they're criminals and they're animals and they're barbarians and they're savages. When literally all of those things apply to him if you're willing to be even remotely objective about it. So there you have it. But it's almost like I struggle. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I struggle to even come up with the words to respond to it because it is so jarring in its immense stupidity and its extremism. But this is where we are. And I guarantee you this guy's parents didn't raise him to be this fucking evil, to be this much of a piece of shit. Something went off. I don't know when or how, but something really is off and out of bounds with this. And I don't know if he just says shit for the shock value, but there's going to come a time, man, I know it's hard to imagine today. I know it's hard to imagine now, but there's going to come a time where this shit is hated again. Right? I get it. We live in the age of Trump. We live in the soundbite era. You say some crazy shit and you get all the attention. I get that. But there's going to come a time where saying shit like this actually fucking damages you. I mean, you literally are damaging your own soul by saying shit like this. But I'm saying in the eyes of the public, there's going to come a time where it's you know what? We're done with this cruelty and this sadism. We need to actually be decent people and try to create a better world. And now it might be oh, that's cringe or that's corny or whatever the fuck. But no, it actually matters to live in a world that with, some semblance of sanity and humanity. I know, crazy, wild. Call me insane for pointing that out, but it's the truth. And it's all going to catch up at some point. I don't think there's any doubt about it. All right, guys, that's the show, man. I love y'all very much, as always. You know the drill, man. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. Support the show on Patreon. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. We got Nathan J. Robinson coming on. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be an awesome Crystal Kyle and Friends. Me and him are going to chop it up about the elections and what we take away from it. And yeah, that's all I got for you, man. Go sub to Corin's World as well, and I'll see you guys there too. All right, peace out, y'all. Have a good one.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. And boy, oh boy, do I have a whole bunch of news for you. And a lot of it sucks shit. It is bad. So right off the rip here, let me just show you that we got new jobs numbers, and they're atrocious. I mean, they're really, really bad. And I think this is a sign of things to come. So they revised down the May jobs numbers by 66,000, okay? They revised down the June jobs numbers by 37,000. So as, we predicted and many others pointed out, whenever there's a half-decent jobs report that comes out, it's bullshit. Trump is cooking the books, lying about the numbers, trying to make it look like the economy is doing better than it is, right? And then later on, when nobody's paying attention, they revise them bitches back down, okay? That's point number one. But point number two is the U.S. economy just lost 23,000 jobs in July, which they say missed forecasts by a wide margin. They were expecting us to grow significantly. We lost 23,000 jobs. Okay, now that's just the beginning, though, because this gets darker. So get this. Bloomberg is reporting the top U.S. mortgage lender is basically collapsing. They're even at the point now where they're pausing their dividend payments, okay? So they say shares in United Wholesale Mortgage fell by a record 49% on Thursday. They lost half of their value in one day after the country's biggest mortgage lender announced a net loss of $452 million. That's insane. So the point that a bunch of people are making right now is, holy shit, are we going to have like a 2008 style subprime mortgage crisis and Great Recession again? Like, here I am, knowing we have a massive economic downturn coming. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be. Of course, I assume it's probably going to be the oil crisis that we have right now and the really high gas prices and really high grocery prices. But then, boom, out of nowhere, it's like, oh shit, we're right back in 2007 as the house of cards starts to come down. So this is fucking disturbing and scary as fuck. And anybody who knows anything about economics is looking at this right now and going, holy shit, iceberg dead ahead. So this is terrifying, terrifying stuff, man. And look, I thought a downturn was coming for a long time. The only thing I can't predict is the timing of the shit, right? Or what the exact catalyst will be. But we know a downturn is coming. I mean, we just discussed the other day, the Japanese yen is absolutely collapsing, and the U.S. had to intervene to save the yen. Very, very disturbing stuff. And remember, this all stems from the Strait of Hormuz being closed, Bab el-Mandeb being closed, and the end result of that is massively high gas prices, also high grocery prices. And I feel like we're at the beginning of very, very dark times here. So just prepare yourself for that, because this economic news, we think it's bad now, but it's going to get way, way worse as time goes by. Okay, so we also have Trump sat down for an interview with Punchbowl, and he had some disturbing comments. So he said, if I don't run, which, by the way, right off the rip here, excuse you, if I don't run, bro, you've had 2 terms. There is no fucking running again, you fat pedophile bitch. If I don't run, fuck you, you can't run. But he says, if I don't run, will those people go out and vote? He's saying that about Republican voters. And that's the one thing I can't tell, because a lot of them are very angry at Republicans. To be honest with you, they're angry at Republicans. They're not angry at me. They're angry at Republicans. This is what he said. I'm not kidding. So this is his cope. His cope is, oh man, the numbers for our party are not good right now. Gee, I wonder who's the head of that party and what they've been up to lately. But he acts like, oh no, actually they love me. They always love me. They'll never not love me. But, you know, they hate the Republicans. But you know what? In a roundabout way, this is actually good news. Because what this tells me is he's psychologically preparing himself for a blue wave. And so when that blue wave happens, he's liable to go, okay, yeah, there was a blue wave, but the reason why that happened is because I wasn't on the ballot directly. If I was on the ballot directly, obviously we would have won, and we would have won in a landslide. But since I wasn't on the ballot directly, what do you want me to say? These things happen. Like, you know, he's finding a way to justify and rationalize what's going on around him. And the reason that's good is it almost is an indication that he's not sure that their attempts to rig the 2028 elections and the midterms, he's not sure that it's actually going to work, right? He's not sure if they can really pull it off. And by the way, don't get it twisted. They have like 7 or 8 different ways they're going to try to put their thumb on the scale. I have no doubt about it. Even potentially including like deploying the National Guard or ICE to harass people at polling places. Like they're going to try to do some dirty ass shit. However, this indicates to me he knows, hey man, we might not pull this off. Like I might not pull this off. In which case, I'll just blame the other Republicans for sucking. And I'll say, well, if I was on the ballot, I would have won by a lot. That's my takeaway from that. Okay. Now, we also have this. Did you guys see that Andy Ogles got his ass ousted in a Republican primary? You simply love to see it. So Andy Ogles is a Trump-endorsed congressman, MAGA congressman, and he declared, quote, homosexuality has no place in America. Remember that? He posted that, and there was massive backlash. Then he came out and, like, blamed it on a staffer of his or something. But no, he posted that shit. Homosexuality has no place in America. He also posted, quote, Muslims don't belong in American society. So this guy is like a old school, hardcore, Bull Connor-style bigot, okay? This is a hardcore racist who wears it on his sleeve. He also called to denaturalize and deport Zoran Mamdani, okay? And he's clearly one of the most authoritarian and fascist members of Congress. Anti-American, anti-Constitution, anti-freedom. This guy's a total piece of shit. So he got thrown out. Now, let's not forget, Trump was going hard in the paint for this dude, bro. He was posting shit in favor of him on a regular basis. He was saying shit like over on Lie Social, Congressman Andy Ogles is doing a fantastic job representing the incredible people of Tennessee's 5th Congressional District and is a conservative warrior who has strong support from his community. In Congress, he's fighting tirelessly to grow our economy, cut taxes and regulations, promote Made in America. He goes on and on. He's like, get out and vote for him. He'll never let you down. Oops. Turns out he got absolutely fucking draxed, bro. He got draxed. So this, to me, is a big deal. Because I actually think when Trump saw this, he had an oh shit moment. Like, hold on now. This is crazy. So remember the Trump-endorsed candidate Amir Hassan lost to some guy named like Tom Smith or some shit. That was purely pawned off to GOP racism because it is because of GOP racism. The guy like Tom Smith hadn't been on the ballot for like a month or two. Didn't matter. Republicans would rather take a white-sounding name than Amir Hassan, okay? But you can pawn that off to just the racism. This one is like, no, Trump was like, this is my guy, vote for him. And now he just lost a Republican primary. In other words, there are factions within the GOP who are not so cultified that they just shut their brain off completely, right? And they're trying to push back from within the GOP to say, we got to take this party back from just the hardcore MAGA bullshit. And so that is a wake-up call. And, Trump is definitely going to have to grapple with that internally, okay? Now, by the way, also, Knox County, Tennessee Democrats flipped a traditionally deep red county commission seat by about 10 points, okay? Another big deal. There's going to be seats that are flipped that people will not be expecting. They won't think twice about it. They'll think, oh, that's safe Republican. Wrong. It is not fucking safe Republican. It is not even close to safe Republican. I'll predict something right now. Richard Ojeda is running for Congress. I believe it's in North Carolina somewhere. Okay. Richard Ojeda is going to be a congressperson. He's going to be a congressperson. He's going to beat his Republican opponent. I'm calling it right now. This is a run that's on nobody's map right now. Nobody's paying attention to it. Everybody thinks it's relatively safe R. Richard Ojeda is going to win that race. Hear me now, quote me later. This shit is happening, bro. It's happening all across this country. Okay, now, let's get back to the nutless wonders known as Republican politicians, okay? So we have Bill Cassidy, or as I call him, Bill Cuxidy. He, of course, was just obliterated by Donald Trump. He votes like over 90% of the time with Trump, maybe over 95% of the time with Trump, but Trump is nursing some old grudge against him. So Trump basically took him out. He lost his election. He's still there, for the remainder of this term, but beginning next term, he was replaced by a MAGA hack, another MAGA hack who's an even bigger MAGA hack. Okay, so he is in position, along with John Cornyn, who's in the same boat, to you're still in a position of power. Trump needs you. Now you have an opportunity to tell him to suck your nuts from the back, to tell him, hey, bro, I'm not your bitch. I have my own ideals, my own philosophy, my own policies, and I'm here to represent the people of my state, in Cassidy's case, Louisiana. And so remember, this is the guy who's a doctor, and he cucked himself into voting for RFK for head of Health and Human Services, knowing RFK is a crank, knowing he believes in junk science, knowing he's a fucking idiot, knowing he's anti-vaccine, knowing he's got all these problems, knowing he bathes in sewage water. And you go, oh yeah, that's a good guy we can put as head of Health and Human Services. The guy who's chopping off raccoon dicks to do what? Suck them in his free time? The guy who's beheading whales and putting them on top of his van? Yeah, that guy. Let's put him in charge of health in this country. Insanity. But he voted for him. He voted for him and said, oh, I talked to him privately and he said he's not going to do anything that's anti-science. Well, here we are. All he's done is shit that's anti-science. The whole thing is anti-science. Insane. So now, what does Cassidy do? He comes out and votes for Todd Blanche for Attorney General. Votes for the absolute psychopath Todd Blanche for Attorney General. Well, who is Todd Blanche and what has he done? He's the guy who has been the acting Attorney General, and he went after Letitia James, even though she did nothing wrong. He went after James Comey, even though he did nothing wrong. He went after the Southern Poverty Law Center and pretended like they're the extremists, even though they try to take down the extremists. He led the Epstein cover-up and gave Ghislaine Maxwell a sweetheart deal and let her stay at a resort in a fake prison. He's the one who facilitated the $1.776 billion January 6th terrorist slush fund. He's the one that did that. He purged FBI officials who weren't completely sucking off Trump. Because God forbid people actually give a shit about independence and the law. Can't have that. He's a defender of pardoning all of the January 6th insurrectionists, even the ones who assault officers. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? So this guy is gone mentally. He's gone. He's a total loyalist cuck sycophant. And what did Cassidy do? He fucking voted for him. The little bitch, Bill Cuxidy, voted for him. He got on his knees and he gave Trump's tiny mushroom cock a sloppy blowjob. That's what he did. This little bitch. There's not a single man in the Republican Party, y'all. Not a single man among them. Jesus Christ. Oh my word. So embarrassing, humiliating, but here we are. Like, you are in a position, could you imagine somebody double crosses you and ruins your life and takes your job from you, and then you still bend the knee like a little bitch boy? Can you imagine that? None of these people have any pride or any integrity or any dignity. They are just useless little cunts is what they are. Oh my God. All right. Well, I also wanted to bring this up because this is crazy as well, but Mitch McConnell may or may not be dead right now, as you all know. Well, I think they said the other day, like, oh yeah, he's totally out of the hospital, bro, but don't worry, we don't have any pictures of him or videos of him, and we can't prove it, but oh yeah, he's totally out of the hospital, bro, he's doing great, he's in rehab or something, bro, whatever, stop talking to us, look away, shut the fuck up. So they're trying to do that whole routine, but guess what? You have people voting as if they're Mitch McConnell in the Senate, okay? So I thought you weren't allowed to vote by proxy, but apparently they brought it back to one extent or another. So you have another senator, John Boozman, the Republican of Arkansas, he was like, oh yeah, I talked to Mitch McConnell yesterday and he wants me to vote this way on this piece of legislation. And so they're voting as if McConnell is alive. No. This is insane. This shit is criminal at this point. This is fraud. This is criminal. You can't do that shit. They're pull every dirty trick in the book to jam through their disgusting fucking agenda. They're doing it. And by the way, how long are they going to keep this up for? With no proof of life. He could be fucking dead and they're voting on his behalf in the Senate to shove through their pro-pedophilia, pro-terrorism, pro-con artist agenda. Oh, that's so crazy, bro. That is so crazy. I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck? This is some criminal shit. Everybody who's involved in the Mitch McConnell cover-up should go to fucking prison. You can't do this in what's supposed to be a civilized country. Some weekend at Bernie's type shit. Fuck out of here. They're voting like he's alive. He could be dead. He could be dead. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, what the fuck? All right. I also wanted to tell you guys this. So Notice is reporting that Trump is planning to keep the National Guard troops deployed in D.C. until 2029. Why? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Can't give a reason. Just like, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing it. That's going to cost an extra $1.4 billion in tax dollars. $1.4 billion for literally fucking nothing. If you look at these National Guard people, they're wandering around, they're eating pizza, they're decked out in fucking camo and holding machine guns. And, you know, as somebody who's, you know, I go to Wizards games from time to time in D.C. And last time we went to a Wizards game, we saw the National Guard walking around. And it's like, this is not a free country anymore. This is not a free country anymore. Like, what are we doing? This is police state garbage. And then you wonder, does he have something nefarious planned for these people? Is he going to try to get them to do some further fucked up shit as time goes by when it comes time to, like, swear in the Democrats who win the election or whatever? I don't know the answer. But, like, you got this force just, like, grazing around Washington, D.C. They don't even know what the fuck they're doing there. And it's like, if for no other reason, why are we wasting $1.4 billion tax dollars? Then, of course, they say, oh, we can't afford food stamps. We can't afford the SNAP program for hungry kids. Oh, we can't afford we kicked 18 million people off Medicaid. We can't afford your health care. But I can afford a bunch of armed guards casually walking around Washington, D.C. all the time for no fucking reason. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute sick joke. All right. Well, thankfully, we also have some good news here that the D.C. Circuit Court blocked Trump's plan to build a new White House ballroom. So it's a 2-1 vote, D.C. Circuit Court. They said, fuck you, no Epstein Memorial Ballroom. And they even said, oh, you're not allowed to demolish the East Wing. even though Trump has already fucking demolished the East Wing. And this just shows you what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a rogue regime that will literally swat aside over 100 different court orders and say, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. Well, guess what? This has to catch up at some point. We need people going to prison for just flagrantly violating separation of powers, rule of law. I mean, it is beyond comprehension how criminal these things are. And so yet another court, I mean, shit, what is this? The 5th different court that said, stop with your fucking ballroom? And he's just going to plow ahead because that's what he does. Well, okay, prepare to see the inside of a fucking jail cell because that's where you belong, bitch. Anybody else acts like this, they got to go to prison. And they got to go for a long fucking time. But he doesn't, and he acts like, oh, I'm just going to get away with it. We can't allow that to continue. We just can't. All right, so Crystal, Kyle, and friends tonight, we have Nathan J. Robinson of Current Affairs Magazine coming on. You definitely want to watch this because we talk everything around the election. A lot of great stuff in there. I'll give you a couple teaser clips on the channel, but sign up for Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack to see the entire thing. Like I said, you don't want to miss it. Really good stuff. And one of the things that we touch on is that Third Way, which is the corporate Democrat group, they announced a $15 million program to basically try to destroy the left, to try to take down DSA and Democratic Socialists and left-wing challengers. In fact, it's their words that they use. They say, moderate Democrats, they say, are preparing for war against the ascendant left. So incredibly disturbing stuff that we're talking about here. They even go on to talk about how they're going to use like astroturfed social media programs, which is very bizarre because then you start thinking, wait a second, are they just going to buy like a bunch of bots to shit on left-wingers? Because they probably will, to try to make it seem like we're not as popular as we are. Are they going to pay certain influencers to make the pro-corporate, pro-diet MAGA arguments? Because that's probably part of it too. But Adam Johnson made a great point about this. He said, why in the piece do they not talk about who funds Third Way? They made it seem like, oh, it's just an ideological disagreement and a philosophical disagreement and a policy disagreement. No, it's not just that. The reason why Third Way is how it is because they are funded entirely by pro-Israel billionaires, big pharma, big oil, big tobacco, Wall Street. It's all big money donors. It's the Epstein class. So how can you write this piece without saying this is not just an ideological disagreement? This is like the military-industrial complex and all these moneyed interests that want to keep the Democratic Party more right-wing. They want to have a Republican Party which does whatever they want, and they want to have a Democratic Party that does whatever they want. So that is why they're against universal health care and free college and a living wage and ending the wars and a Green New Deal and free child care and all these different things. They're against it not because they think it's bad policy. They're against it because they're paid to be against it. Yes, I'm sure there are also some people who are ideological as well. But this $15 million war chest, the reason that exists is because the Epstein class is funding it. Okay, the exact people we need to defeat are funding it. And so it's very disturbing that the media is not being accurate about what we're dealing with here in this war for the soul of the Democratic Party. And by the way, these are the people who lost to Trump multiple times. How about they go to shut the fuck upsville? Really, is the argument Hillary Clinton was DSA and that's why she lost? Kamala Harris was DSA and that's why she lost? Is that the argument? Please, spare me. All right, so we also have this. Axios says that GOP operatives apparently spent months compiling footage of Democratic figures, including left-wing commentator Hassan Piker, and they're going to use that throughout the Republican convention to paint Democrats as extremist. Okay? So organizers will particularly focus on Abdul El-Sayed, and they're also going to go after James Tallarico. But they think their best bet going after these people is to, find clips of people like me or people like Hassan or people like Jennifer Welch and highlight extreme things that we say and use it to try to paint them as, too far out of bounds, too wacky or whatever. Meanwhile, how is it that we're the wacky ones? How is it that Hassan's the wacky one when all he wants is universal health care? All he wants is free college. All he wants is a living wage and unions. All he wants is to end the wars and stop funding Israel to bomb kids. All he wants is free child care. That's all he wants. He wants a country that actually represents the American people, and you're going to, highlight him? No, the reason why Republicans are doing this is because they can't answer for what they've done. They can't answer for the fact that grocery prices are higher and gas prices are higher. They can't answer for the fact that people are losing health care and Trump has started multiple new wars. They can't answer for the fact that ICE is shoving people in concentration camps and ruining their lives. And so this is desperate. It is desperate. And I think it's going to fucking backfire. Okay? I think it's going to backfire. So I think Tallarico and Abdul are in a very, very good spot right now. And I think they know what to do with this. I think they know how to fight back against these smears. All right. Now back to disappointing Democrats. Governor Katie Hobbs of Arizona is the current sitting governor, and she's a Democrat. And she's set to announce John Giles, a moderate Republican, as her lieutenant governor and running mate. Katie, what are we doing? What are we doing, Katie? I mean, really, in this moment where the Republican brand has never fucking been more tarnished. They have never been more tarnished than this exact moment, bro. I mean, you're talking about Trump with a 30% approval rating. You're talking about every issue they're making worse. And you pick now to say, like, let me hold hands and sing Kumbaya with the party of fascists and terrorists and imperialists and con men and pedophiles and rapists. Like, I'm sorry. You guys got to be more partisan. Democrats, wakey, be more partisan. It's okay when one side is fucking crazy to be like, these motherfuckers are crazy. No, I don't want a Republican to be on the Democratic ticket. Call me crazy. Call me old-fashioned. I don't want that. Oh, my God, bro. All right. Now, speaking of crazy, Trump gave a speech the other day. And in that speech, first of all, his hair. Everybody saw his hair. I don't know what the fuck he did to it. Did he go to, like, some fabulous hairdresser who made that bitch look 20 times more voluminous? I don't know what he did. But that shit looked 20 times more voluminous, dog. And so a lot of people are saying it might be a wig. They think it might be a wig. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Okay? I'm not here to litigate that. But what I am here to litigate is that as Trump is standing there looking like he's wearing a wig, barely coherent because his brain is failing him now, melting and leaking out of his ears, Trump said the following, quote, we're taking a lot of oil, he said. We're taking a lot of oil from Venezuela. Billions and billions of barrels of oil. To the victor belong the spoils. To the victor belong the spoils. So, never in my life did I think they would lay it out there this plain, right? Like, people like me used to get yelled at back in the day when I said George W. Bush went to war in Iraq for the oil. He went to go steal the oil. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney are evil motherfuckers. They don't care how many Iraqis they kill, and they're going there to steal the oil. When we used to say shit like that, people go, oh my God, you guys are crazy. You guys are insane. You guys are out of your mind. Now Trump just comes out and says that shit for us, bro. He just admits, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Give me a sec, I gotta let Phoebe in. So he just says the shit for us. Like, you know, here I am. I make all these long-ass arguments on the show, and, you know, I'm long-winded. I'm talking for hours a day trying to tell you guys what I think is going on. He just comes out and blurts that shit. Kyle's right about everything. I'm a fucking pirate. I'm a criminal. I'm a fascist. I'm a terrorist. I'm a war criminal. I'm genocidal. I'm a pedophile. I'm a rapist. I'm a con man. Like, he just comes out and blah, blah, blah. Verbal diarrhea. We're stealing the oil from a sovereign country, which we're not allowed to do, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to take the money. I love this idea. He says, like, oh, we're taking it. Bitch, who is we? What does that mean? Who's we? Who's that money going to? Well, we know the answer to that if you're paying attention. It ain't you. It ain't me. It ain't the American people. It ain't people who go to the gas pump and have to pay $4.40 a gallon right now, ski. Okay, it's not them. No, when he says we, he means him. Him and his Epstein class buddies. He has an account in Qatar that only he controls. It's a private slush fund. $13 billion is in that shit. And that's all the profit from the Venezuelan oil. I wish I was kidding. I'm not kidding, bro. That's what's going on. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Is America great again yet? You fucking idiots who voted for him. Is America great again yet? Oh my God, man. What are we doing? Okay. Now, Dropsite News is reporting. This is horrifying. Israel has bombed and devastated Gaza's sewage and sanitation infrastructure and now deliberately blocks Palestinians from landfills, machinery, and essential supplies needed to contain the resulting public health catastrophe. So one of the consequences is a massive rat and pest infestation, with Palestinians, including children, being bitten in their sleep. 4 in 5 sewage pumping stations are not functioning. with some 40,000 cubic meters of untreated sewage flowing each day. By July, 60% of Gaza's population was living within 10 meters of sewage or human waste, and more than 900,000 people were exposed to garbage accumulating in residential areas, according to the UN. Rodents or pests were reported at 81% of displacement sites surveyed in April, affecting roughly 1.45 million Gazans, Palestinians. Ladies and gentlemen, you do know what they're doing here, right? They're trying to speed up the process of genocide and ethnic cleansing by making it so that these places are going to have all sorts of ancient fucking illnesses and viruses and diseases. They don't want everybody who gets murdered in Palestine to be murdered because of a bomb or a missile or a drone or a bullet. They want a bunch of them to die because of illnesses they gave them on fucking purpose. That's what this is. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. Jesus Christ, man. How is it we're still witnessing, like, the crimes of the fucking Israeli terror state? And we fund them. We arm them. We're paying for this shit. This is what my tax dollars are going towards. Nah, man, I can never fucking forgive this. I could never. The correct position that every single Democrat should take. Not a penny more to Israel. Not a dollar, not a penny, not a nickel, not a dime, not nothing. No weapons, no money, and we need to arrest the entire fucking criminal government. Period. End of discussion. That's what we need to do. Arrest the motherfuckers. Don't give them another penny. Even if they come out and say, we're done with this. We're not going to do this anymore. We're going to do a two-state solution immediately. Even then, I would say, fuck you. You don't get money and you don't get weapons. Why? Because you don't arm and fund Nazis. Period. Full stop. And it's not like, if the Nazis act 7% better, I'll give them money and weapons. No, fuck the Nazis and fuck the IDF. Okay? Jesus Christ, man. This is so crazy. This is so crazy. It's like the types of hell that they're creating on this earth are just mind-boggling. Things no normal person would ever think of, right? Just like the right to rape protest that they did there. No normal person would ever think of that. No normal person would think of shooting somebody waving a white flag as the IDF does regularly. None of them would think about bombing World Central Kitchen workers or UN workers or starving an entire population or shooting kids in the face or, having Gaza be the capital of the world for child amputations, and they don't even have anesthesia to give the kids when they're amputating an arm or a leg. This is hell on earth, and we've created it. Oh my God. Either you have a moral conscience, a moral core, or you don't, okay? Pick a fucking side to every Democrat out there. It's very simple. We know where all the Republicans stand. They're all terrorists and fascists and demons. We know that. Where do you stand if you're a Democrat? Where do you stand on this shit? Jesus Christ. And by the way, watch nobody even bring it up. Even the better Democrats, which I'm not trying to throw shade at them in any way, shape, or form here, but even them, I highly doubt you're going to have, name whatever member of Congress that's actually half decent. Are they going to come out and talk about how we have a sewage crisis now in Gaza being done on purpose by Israel that's trying to give people diseases and kill them? Are they going to say that? I don't think so. I think you're only going to hear about that here and from fucking Drop Site News. Shout out to them for doing the work on that. Jesus Christ. I do have some good news for you, though. So we have a new House poll that just came out for Florida's 25th district, and this is an internal Oliver Larkin poll. Now, Oliver Larkin is fucking badass. He's such a gangster. This is the guy. He was in the Progressive Victory, rally that we did, like virtual rally that we did. I was on that shit. He was on that shit. He's an awesome, awesome candidate. And he's the guy who just went mega viral because he went on Fox News. And in the Lion's Den, when a Fox host was trying to press him on immigrant rapists, Oliver Larkin snapped and said, basically, the president of the United States who you support is a pedophile. So if you want to go after rapists and pedophiles, start with the guy in the White House. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. Okay, so when that moment came out, it went gangbusters, and he started raising tremendous amounts of money for his seat. So he's been doing all the media he could do, trying to get his name out there as much as humanly possible. An internal poll just came out. Now, previously, he was down 20 points, 30 points, double digits across the board to this guy, Jared Moskowitz, this diet MAGA Democrat, this pro-Israel Democrat, a guy who describes himself as a Ron DeSantis Democrat. I'm not kidding. He actually said that. He also supports Trump's illegal war against Iran. Okay, he's also in favor of the genocide. Horrible, horrible Democrat, not a real Democrat, a diet MAGA Democrat. So Larkin's running against him in the primary. He was down 20, 30 points. New poll just came out. Larkin is only down 2 to Jared Moskowitz. Ladies and gentlemen, you better go donate to Oliver Larkin right this motherfucking second. Go to Act Blue, donate to Oliver Larkin right this motherfucking second. While you're there, donate to Poindexter as well, who's running against Max Miller, who's the domestic abuser and the guy who, assaulted his own daughter, broke her collarbone, stole her little blue bunny that she can't sleep without, the guy who shoved a woman down the flight of stairs with 3 other witnesses, and he's still somehow going on CNN and pretending like he's a fucking angel when everybody knows he's a devil, okay? We got to get him across the finish line. This would send a message like nobody's business, bro. This would send a message like nobody's business. That, I'm sorry, you can't be a pro-genocide Democrat. You can't be a Ron DeSantis Democrat. You can't do it. Not in 2020, not in 2026, not in 2027, not in 2028, not from now until the end of time. I'm old school. I think Democrats should actually be Democrats. Call me crazy. I think Democrats should actually be Democrats. I think they should stand for left-wing values. I think we should be the opposite of MAGA in every way, shape, and form. I don't believe in fighting MAGA by being diet MAGA, by meeting them halfway. If those motherfuckers are crazy and we're meeting them halfway, what does that make us? It makes us half crazy. So, time to wake up. Oliver Larkin, pull it off, bro. I really hope he can pull it off. Everybody go support him. Do whatever you can to try to get him across the finish line. If you're listening from Florida's 25th district, go vote for him. It's going to be incredible, man. If he can topple Moskowitz, it's going to be incredible. And by the way, I will say, it's a tough district. It really is for him. Because there's a lot of old, wealthy Zionists in that district. And that's like the one group of voters who are still in the Democratic tent and just like rabidly pro-Israel. And they're, he's running an explicitly anti-genocide campaign and they don't like that. Okay? But go get him across the finish line, y'all. All right. Now, how about this? This is Ryan Grimm has been on this beat for a while now, and this just came to my attention, but this is astonishing stuff here. Apparently, there's a bunch of states where you have these Green Party candidates who are like going through the minimal process to get on the ballot to run for Congress. Now, here's the thing. You ready for this? Apparently, it's been proven that a lot of these people are not actual lefties and they're not actual Green Party members. What they are is Republicans running an op. That's what it is. So Ryan Grimm says this Green Party Republican's only donation history is to Republicans. Pretty sure in Florida someone was convicted of a crime for this kind of thing. So basically, it's fraud. And Ryan Grimm has been covering this. Looks like another Republican plant grabbing a Green Party line, this one to take out Will Lawrence in Michigan 7. So that's the guy who co-founded the Sunrise Movement. He won his primary. Now it looks like a Republican is going to run as a Green Party member. And the idea is, let's try to, strip left-wing votes away from Will Lawrence. Okay? And Ryan Grimm says, watch this Green run against data centers so that he can elect the Republican who'll green light the data centers. So that's their trick. So you got these Republicans who are running as Green Party members, as they're really secret Republicans. And what they do is they run against data centers and to try to take the wind out of the sail of the Democrats and then make it so that the Republican gets across the finish line. And then when they get in there, they'll be wildly pro-data center. So it's a fucking ruse. It's an op. Again, I don't know how this isn't illegal in all states. Maybe it is illegal in all states. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But it should be. This is just fraud. This is absolute fraud. This would be the equivalent. And by the way, if they're going to do this, I would say Democrats should do this. I would say you should have people who are left-wing, people who are Democrats, decide to run as libertarians in some of these states and try to take the wind out of the sails of the Republican candidates and strip 2 to 5% of the vote from them. Look, it's the only way that, if they're going to cheat, in order to make it more equal, we need to cheat. If they cheat, we got to counter-cheat to make it even Stevens. That's the only thing that's fair. I'm in favor of fairness. So if y'all want to stop fucking cheating, we won't cheat over here either. But if y'all going to fucking cheat, we're going to make it even Stevens by counter-cheating. So libertarians should run, secret Democrats should run as libertarians to get them back for this. But this is disgusting. And by the way, we're at the point now where, stop and think about this. As somebody who I used to vote for Green Party candidates every now and then. I've always gone back and forth between Democrats and Green Party people throughout my entire life. But now you look at it and you go, oh no, wait a second. It is actually factually true now that the Green Party is a Republican op. It's a Republican op to hurt the Democrats. And it's not a coincidence that this is happening as the Democratic Party is moving left, as the Democratic Party is waking up, and they're embracing democratic socialism, and they're actually standing for democratic values. Okay? So it's not a coincidence that now's the time that the Green Party is a full Republican op. So be very aware of that, okay? Be very, very aware of that. Really disturbing stuff there, man. Really disturbing stuff. Oh, shit, I just accidentally deleted one of my... Here we go. Let me pull this bitch back up. Yeah, here we go. Oh, I'm happy that I got this one back, though, because you're going to like it. So More Perfect Union says, Bernie Sanders just introduced the Guaranteed Paid Vacation Act, which is a bill to guarantee at least 2 weeks of paid vacation to every full-time worker in America. And apparently over 90 other members of Congress already signed on to the legislation. Take a wild guess what party they're in. The ones who signed on to it. And take a wild guess which ones didn't sign on to it. I'm going to let y'all guess. He said, quote, "We hear a lot of talk about family values in America, but let's be clear, when a husband, wife, and kids during the course of an entire year are unable to spend any time together on vacation, that is not a family value. That is an attack on everything that a family is supposed to stand for." So he's calling out the Republican hypocrisy. Those are the assholes who don't shut the fuck up about family values. But the fact of the matter is, they don't believe in family values. They use that as a cudgel against, like, gay people and against trans people. I believe in family values as one man and one woman and a white picket fence. And, like, that's how they think of it. But Bernie's like, okay, bitch, you believe in family values? Well, how about a family gets to take a vacation? How about that? How about we catch up to every other developed nation and give people paid time off by law so you don't have to be a fucking slave peasant to an asshole boss every day of the entire year, okay? Minus weekends. How about that? By the way, thank unions for the weekends. But anyway, phenomenal. And you know what the crazy thing is? Under this MAGA government, there is a 0% chance of this passing. Let me repeat that. Under this MAGA government, there is a 0% chance of a bill passing that's simply guaranteed paid vacation for 2 fucking weeks. So tell me again how the America First guy is going to be against that. Make that make sense. He's so America First that he wants to say fuck you to American workers, apparently. What a sick joke. Republicans own this. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the White House, they have the judiciary. They control everything, and they don't want you to have 2 weeks paid vacation, and Bernie Sanders does. Jesus Christ. Okay. And sorry about the wind noise out here. I don't know if you guys are hearing that. It's getting kind of windy. But I can't lie, it feels good, bro. It is 93 degrees out here, and that's the only thing that's making it tolerable out here. That and the shade of this tree that I'm under right now. Okay. So Missouri voters apparently overwhelmingly rejected a Republican plan that would have skyrocketed sales tax. And over 83% voted against it. So yet again, on direct ballot initiatives, the Republican position fails over 80% of the time, which just goes to show you they have just horrific beliefs that if you get specific with it and give people like nuanced descriptions of what they believe in, everybody hates it. Everybody hates it. Even people who would self-describe as Republican go, I don't like that idea. Go ahead, ask your normie Republican voter, should we raise the minimum wage? They'll say yes. They'll say yes. Ask the normie Republican voter if they think all Americans should have health care. They'll say yes. It's one of those things where they get like hoodwinked and bamboozled and duped into supporting the Republican on some bullshit false premise because they use culture war issues to brainwash them. It's like, oh, you hate gay people, right? You hate trans people, right? You hate liberals, right? Well, then vote for us because we hate them too. It's the classic old school divide and conquer thing that all the oligarchs and the billionaires and the Epstein class use to keep everybody divided and run out the back door with all the money. Okay, guys, the year is 2026, and I'm not kidding when I say we just had a lynching in the state of Mississippi. We had a lynching in the state of Mississippi. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, put it in the comment section, but wasn't there also another lynching that happened relatively recently within the past year or two as well? There was a black person found hanging from a tree, and of course they were immediately like, no foul play! There was no foul play! Really? We're really doing this? We're really doing this in 2026? A black person found hanging from a tree in the South, and I'm supposed to believe there's no foul play? You have to have a fucking pea brain to believe that. You got to be the biggest dupe on the planet to believe that. So her name, because it was a she, is Tasia Fortune, and she was identified as the woman found lynched in Mississippi. We need a full motherfucking investigation. And you know what, man? Back in the day, nobody would trust a Mississippi police department to do this investigation, period. Nobody would trust them, right? Well, back in the day, you'd have the federal government step in, and they would do an investigation. But now, the federal government is run by fucking fascists. And so do I expect Trump's government to do a fair and objective and real investigation into this? No, because they don't give a fuck about a black woman found hanging from a tree. They don't care. They won't even pretend to care. That's where we're at now in this country. They're openly racist and bigoted. They don't give a shit. And so we live in hell, bro. We live in hell that this shit is going on. And there's no doubt there's going to be no justice. I mean, shit, you still have the people, the ICE Gestapo thugs, who shot innocent protesters in the face. Renee Nicole Good, Alex Preddy. There's been at least 50 people that are dead because of ICE. They're still running around free. They're still free. They executed somebody on camera and walked free. And they're still on the job, just in a different state. So there's going to be no justice for this. And people need to not fucking accept that. People need to speak up and stand up and tell the truth and say, we got to get to the fucking bottom of this right here. Jesus Christ, man, a lynching. I can't. All right. More Perfect Union says that AI is now answering 911 calls in New Orleans. Oh, that's great. What could go wrong with that? I'm sure that's going to go wonderfully. Everybody loves it when you call, some customer helpline and it's robot shit. Everybody loves that. It's not like immediately demoralizing and it doesn't immediately piss you off and make you want to break shit. And now we got 911 calls. Oh, my days. Okay. The New York Times says, breaking news, scientists have used AI to create new viruses for the first time, raising hopes for medical advances while also raising the possibility that the technology could someday be used to invent dangerous pathogens. Why, in God's name, would y'all have scientists use AI to make new viruses? That sounds like the beginning of a horror movie, of some zombie movie. That sounds like the first thing you'd see in some post-apocalyptic video game. That's like, story one in the narrative. What are we talking about? I got to be honest with you guys. I'm starting to think human beings are too stupid to survive in the long run. I'm starting to think that, we're on borrowed time as a species. Because when you see these things, it's like, how the fuck? Is there nobody with common sense in the room who chimes in and goes, you know what, bad idea. I'm not sure about that. Just like the gain of function shit. Bad idea. Maybe if we do gain of function research and we create a virus, that virus gets out and that causes a pandemic and we don't have the treatments. Maybe we don't create new viruses and play God. Maybe we don't use AI to create new viruses and play God. Maybe we should stop motherfucking playing God. Have you thought about that? Oh my, and I'm not even religious. I'm not a religious person at all. But when I see humans trying to play God to this extent, I go, oh, hell no, stop. Stop it. We're not smart enough to deal with the consequences of this. We're just not. Curiosity is going to kill us, for sure. It is. We also have this. Police in Wisconsin used flock cameras to track a man who traveled to Michigan, where marijuana is legal, then back to Wisconsin, where it's illegal. They then used his travel as part of the probable cause justification to search his car for weed, and he was arrested. This is insane, because this right here is criminal. I'm not saying the guy who smoked the weed is criminal. I'm saying what they did to this guy is criminal. This is a rampant violation of this person's rights. We have a right to privacy in the Constitution. We have a right to protection from unreasonable search and seizure in the Constitution. This is unreasonable search and seizure without any doubt whatsoever. This is police state shit. This is tyranny, and it's being ushered in by Donald J. Trump and fucking Peter Thiel, who basically bought the government and has his tentacles deep inside of it. Okay? Trump is a total cuck to the Epstein class and the AI tech demons and Mark Andreessen and Peter Thiel and all these guys. And this is the fucking result. This is the result. So this is another thing I need Democrats to speak up and say, we're not okay with this. Take down every one of these motherfucking flock cameras. Every single one of them. We don't want to live in this Orwellian-ass society where everybody knows every little fucking thing you say or do and, you're recorded 24/7. Fuck that. Fuck that. No, we need to be free citizens. Freedom actually should mean something. Jesus Christ. All right, now, more updates for you in RFK Jr.'s hellscape, also created by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. But 1.5 million cartons of eggs have been recalled for salmonella. 1.5 million cartons of eggs have been recalled for salmonella. So the eggs are from Kroger's, Simple Truth, Brookshire's, Cal-Maine, and Country Morning. They're being recalled in Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, and New Mexico. The sizes that are being recalled are 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and 60. And the best buy dates are between July 20th and August 17th. So this is what happens when you have no regulation. This is what happens when DOJ decides the government can't do any of the important work that they've always done. This is what happens when you have a bunch of snot-nosed 21-year-old teens who are high on ketamine just crusading through the government and cutting whatever program they personally don't like. By the way, 345 people in 27 states have contracted salmonella from jalapenos. And that comes after the Trump regime fired FDA staff who helped conduct food safety inspections. So yet again, there's nothing held sacred when it comes to food in this country anymore. Nothing. We had the fucking lettuce with the cyclospora outbreak. Now we got this shit. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to fucking get worse. By the way, there were 2 people who died because of cyclospora. I'm not kidding. 2 people died because of cyclospora, because of that outbreak. The first fatalities in the U.S. linked to that parasite, I think ever. All because of Elon Musk and Doge, all because of RFK Jr., all because of Donald Trump, because they don't believe in the government doing basic regulation. Trump destroyed the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act. They over 100 different clean water and clean air protections. They got rid of them. Trump is greenlighting the more use of glyphosate, which is cancer-causing. They put that on our produce. That gives us cancer and we die younger. People look around and they wonder, why is it that the average age of death in this country is like 10 years younger than other developed countries? Our shit is like, what, around 76, and other countries are like 83 to 86? Because we have a shitty fucking healthcare system, we have shitty fucking food, we have no regulations, it's the wild, wild west, and, you know, we live unhealthy lifestyles where we're peasant slaves to our boss who works us into the fucking ground. This is bullshit. By the way, here's another one for you. Coal miners in Central Appalachia are suffering from the highest rates of black lung in 50 years. Now, why is that, you ask, Kyle? Well, the answer is, it comes after Trump canceled regulations limiting toxic silica dust in mines, which would have prevented at least 1,067 deaths and 3,746 cases of black lung. So in other words, he deregulated all the black lung rules, and now black lung is roaring back. Hey, coal miners who supported Trump, did you learn anything? What'd you learn? What'd you learn? I'm not trying to be an asshole about this, except I am trying to be an asshole about this. Because you were fucking warned. We say it because you were warned. You didn't want to listen. You wanted to own the liberals. Well, congratulations. You own the liberals, and now you got black lung, and you're going to be dead in 17 minutes. I'm sorry, but that hatred needs to stop blocking you from rational thought. And that's what it is. It's bigotry. It's hatred. You hate black people. You hate trans people. You hate gay people. You hate women. You hate Muslims. You hate every minority community. You hate the liberals. You hate the pink-haired college kids. You hate all that. Well, guess what? You just hated your way into an early grave because the motherfucker you voted for removed the black lung rules. So maybe don't go in that direction. Maybe use your logical mind and try to actually create a better world for yourself and for everybody else. Oh, my God. And then finally, a watchdog reports FEMA is unprepared for future emergencies. That is not a shock. They've destroyed FEMA. And the reason why is the Trump administration fired 6,400 employees, or pushed out 6,400 employees, or more than that, from FEMA. So they stealth destroyed it in the same way they stealth destroyed the Department of Education, in the same way they stealth destroyed the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which protects you from corporations robbing you blind. Now, they want corporations to rob you blind. Awesome. Good stuff. So anyway, there are your updates, bro. I wish I had more positive news for you, but this is where we're at right now. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Like I said, sign up for Crystal Kylan Friends on Substack. You do not want to miss it. Great episode with Nathan J. Robinson drops tonight. And that's it. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.